What's happening, folks? Welcome to Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live. My name is Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White.
We are your regular host for LTMB. Actually, we are the only host.
I know, right?
For LTMB. Only a two-man operation. We're going to give it a minute, make sure some people can get in before we start the program. What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube?
It's going to be a very densely packed program, too.
Yeah, man. It's so much to talk about. So many things that we wanted to fit into this show.
Yeah, this is going to be like a quick fire show.
Yeah.
I mean, we put ourselves through it, but
yeah, I know we did.
We had to because this is the last show of the week, and there were so many things that popped up over the last couple of days that we almost had no choice.
We can't just like push it to next week.
Yeah, there might be some stuff we don't get to, but we're gonna try to go through these stories like real quick. What's up, Linda?
What's going on, Linda? On Facebook, dredging Rose on YouTube. Hear you loud and clear. That's cool. Okay. All right. Want to make sure everybody knows too to click that bell, ring that bell on YouTube. Make sure you get all the new content from LTMB when we break it, when we drop it.
And you don't want, you don't want YouTube to not send you when we going live and stuff like that, man.
I know, right? You don't want that. You don't want that. All right, let's see. Let's see if this stuff can share, but let's see. Oh, can't share it.
Still can't share it?
Nah, man. Nah, you can't.
That's crazy, man.
Nah, it can't be yours, man. It must not be. It can't be yours. It got to be somebody else's. Don't make no sense, but whatever. I don't know, man. Facebook, man. Zuckerbook, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. We got some people in here. We're gonna begin the program. What's going on, Lori? Dia. Yeah, Facebook. You know.
See, like the context of wonky usually means there's something wrong.
Yeah, no, it's working perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's working how it's meant to work, man.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that too, because we're gonna talk about the Zuckerbook. I said Zuckerbook. We're gonna talk about Zucker's hearing, the Senate hearings, just shortly, and some of the stuff that was said or whatever like that. It's gonna be quick, but we'll talk about numbers and Anyway, all right. So let's begin the show. All right. So all right. Speaker of the House, Republican Representative Paul Ryan, is retiring from Congress. Cue the music. I mean, I ain't got no music for that.
I know, right? This I guess mental music.
Yeah. Like cue that image of the that guitar. I mean, not the guitar, the
violin.
Yeah.
Oh, like the tiny violin.
Yeah, man. He's on his way out. He says that he's not going to be resigning. He's going to finish out his term, but he will not be seeking re-election in 2018. So he is among approximately 40 Republicans that are not seeking re-election in the coming midterms. Now that number is about twice the number of Democrats that are not seeking re-election in the House of Representatives. So, of course, this is major news, and it kind of, for a long time, has been looked at that there's a blue wave coming, and the Democrats only need a net gain of 23 in the House to overtake majority control.
But he said his resignation is not going to affect that at all. As long as they still keep doing the work that they have been doing, as long as they keep serving the American people. I forgot how he said it.
Well, the
question was asked, and he said that his resignation should not affect it. I'm like, how could it not? How could it not affect that? Maybe he's just, I don't know. She's jumping ship, trying to, jump in the Titanic before shit hits the fan. Because think about it, he already did his job, right? He did what he was there to do. He passed the most comprehensive and corporate-friendly tax bill in history.
He surely did.
He received a a hefty windfall.
Hefty, that's the same word I got in my head.
Oh, really? Yeah. He received a $500,000.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He received he received some change.
Yeah. What, from the Koch brothers?
Yeah, from Koch Foundation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially his work is done. I mean, he completely well, I wouldn't say he completely destroyed the social safety net, but
he tried to.
He laid the groundwork for it to be dismantled.
And he says that more work still needs to be done.
More work still needs to be done. But again, like he was there and he got the job done. Mm-hmm. He got that tax bill passed. See,
and that's so phony because Paul Ryan, for his career, has always been like some self-described deficit hawk. That's all he's been about. You know, he's self-described deficit hawk. He's always talking about balancing the budget. So when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, he took that. I mean, he described that as a major win. But if he actually cared about the deficit, then he would have cared about what that damn bill was going to do to the deficit. It was going to increase it by over $1 trillion over 10 years.
But remember, like a month later, what did he say? He came back and said, "Oh yeah, that it was a." Remember, he said it was a bit too much.
Oh no, that wasn't him. That was Rubio.
That was my bad.
That was Rubio.
I get those two confused.
You think Paul Ryan? There's no way Paul Ryan has a different opinion about this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. There's no way. But anyway, so he laid out why he was retiring from Congress. And so we have a clip to let him explain it for himself.
You all know that I did not seek this job. I took it reluctantly. But I have given this job everything that I have. And I have no regrets whatsoever for having accepted this responsibility. This has been one of the 2 greatest honors of my life. The job provides incredible opportunities. But the truth is, it's easy for it to take over everything in your life. And you can't just let that happen. Because there are other things in life that can be fleeting as well. Namely, your time as a husband and a dad, which is the other great honor of my life. That's why today I am announcing that this year will be my last one as a member of the House. All 3 of our kids are teenagers. And one thing I've learned about teenagers is their idea of an ideal weekend is not necessarily to spend all of their time with their parents. What I realize is if I am here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad. I just can't let that happen.
Oh, so we're doing it for the kids.
Yeah, man, because that's commendable, man. You know, that's commendable for a father of young children to want to be important to their lives, you know, want to be instrumental in the raising of these kids. He doesn't want to just be there on the weekend.
You know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Americans that would love to spend more time with their kids, but they're saddled with working a lot. Mm-hmm. They have to work so hard to, I guess, to cover the gap or cover the wage gap that his policies stretched out.
Yeah, a little bit. So really, what you could be pointing at is like this Tax Cuts and Job Act, right? He was instrumental in getting that thing passed, right? Mm-hmm. He was instrumental in essentially increasing or widening that wealth disparity, right?
That wealth disparity, and what happens as a result of that is people they have to take on, you know, second jobs,
third jobs. That's right.
And so in a lot of cases, their kids have to take on jobs too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, see, again, it's commendable that somebody would want to be with their family so that they can raise their children. But I think he's bullshitting.
Oh,
this ain't the reason, man. Please, this is not the reason why Paul Ryan is retiring from Congress.
And the thing is, it's like he's retiring and he's going to get a $79,000 pension, and it's coming from the same taxpayers that he disenfranchised for his entire career.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, no doubt. And how much do you want to make a bet? I feel pretty confident about this bet too. But I'm willing to bet that in the next 6 months, year and a half, something like that, Paul Ryan's going to show up at some large lobbying firm.
The L word.
Yeah. He's going to be...
he's going to definitely score a lobbying gig somewhere, like your boy Boehner.
That's right. Yeah, he's going to be commanding a very comfortable salary. And you know what that would mean? it means that he's probably going to be having to make frequent trips to Washington, D.C., right? But he wants to be around his family because he's a commendable guy. He wants to be instrumental in the raising of the kids.
Maybe he just knows that it's going to be more lucrative for him to step down.
Yeah. We've talked about that several times. Lots of times these former senators or these former congressmen, they leave office and they step right into some high paid position where sometimes they don't even have experience in it, but a lot of times they're lobbying positions where of course they know how to play that game.
They definitely know how to play that game because they've been on the other side of it.
Yeah, and they see what's done. But another reason why this Paul Ryan may be wanting to leave his position is because he represents Wisconsin. Wisconsin seems like it's not fertile ground for Republicans right now. Now, we've talked about this, and we've talked about the governor, Scott Walker, suggesting that it's a rocky road for Republicans, and they better be on their P's and Q's because Democrats seem to be getting an advantage. I think it was in January of this year, a special election. A Democrat won it in a district that Donald Trump carried by 17 percentage points in the 2016 presidential election. And this is why Scott Walker has been failing to call other special elections, because he fears that Democrats are going to take those positions. So in the case of Paul Ryan, it seems like that district, he serves the first district. And he's been serving that district for, I believe, 10 terms now. So I think he feels pretty uncomfortable being in that race. Think about how embarrassing it would be.
You say he doesn't want to take a loss?
I don't think he wants to. Again, think about how embarrassing it would be for the current Speaker of the House to lose his reelection.
Oh, so he's trying to avoid a situation with his egg on his face.
It's very possible, man. The Democrat that is viewed as the most likely one to emerge with the Democratic nomination is a guy by the name of Randy Bryce, and he's a Justice Democrat. Now he's been fundraising like crazy. Just in the last quarter, I believe he has raised about $2 million. So again, we're seeing this thing in Wisconsin grow and grow, and it does seem like it is becoming more blue. So again, Paul Ryan just might be trying to cut bait, man.
Just
cut his losses, man.
Jump ship before it sinks.
Yes, I don't know, man. It could be. So, but anyway, I have no sympathy, or I don't feel any certain way about him leaving office.
Yeah.
Good riddance to him.
So long to the social safety net sniper, man.
Can't think of one damn thing that he did that was positive. I can just try to rack my brain, and sorry, I don't think I got one.
The illustrious career of a corporate warrior raider. I don't know.
That's exactly what he was, man. So yeah, that's Paul Ryan for you. So anyway, let's move on. All right. So let's go to Syria. Lots has been made in the news about Syria. So last Saturday, it was reported that there was a chemical attack on the Syrian people, and it's been reported that it was at the hands of the Syrian government and President Assad. So the United States has been talking about possible options. The White House press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, has said all options are on the table. Trump has said different things. Different nations are talking about different things. But Trump kind of added some
extra juice to the situation.
A little bit of extra juice to the situation on Wednesday morning when he tweeted out, Russia vows to shoot down any and all missiles fired at Syria. Get ready, Russia, because they will be coming. Nice and new and smart. You shouldn't be partners with a gas-killing animal who kills his people and enjoys it.
Now, I think that's the last statement, his last sentence. I think that's what needs to be discussed because I haven't seen sufficient evidence that shows that Assad was, the culprit, or there was any kind of, I guess, responsibility on his part,
right?
As far as these supposed gassing, I haven't seen anything.
No, it's like I said, it's just being reported. Many news and media organizations are just reporting the same, the same facts. And we haven't really seen any
how
facts.
would it how would it benefit him in any way? Like, why would he even do that? Essentially, he's just only.
It would be to his detriment.
It'd be to his detriment. Like,
yeah. Why would you want the United States getting involved? Why would you want the possibility of missiles coming to you?
I think it's more likely that it would be a tactic that his opposition would use. Right. You see what I'm saying? Like, who does it benefit? So if you look at who would benefit more, it would be his opposition.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So why wouldn't you look towards them as the culprits?
I know.
I mean, the culprits.
So after that tweet, there was a lot made about it, of course, because it seems like Trump is threatening Syria and Russia, and so I believe it was CNN that did a compilation of all the times that President Trump, when he was candidate Trump, talked about Barack Obama. I guess alerting the world about what's coming forward, like what potential actions we're gonna do, and like the dates and times and stuff like that. And he's like, you don't say that, you surprise people, you don't like choreograph. Yeah, you don't show them your hand.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Now, I understand that some people say, well, no, he didn't actually do that, because he didn't say that, okay, on this date and at this time we're gonna send this many troops, or we're gonna fire this weapon. I understand that, but still, if you want the element of surprise, you wouldn't say anything. If this is an option that you're discussing with your people, then why put it out there for the public, right? So on Thursday morning, he kind of did his best to walk that back in another tweet. So this time he said, never said when an attack on Syria would take place. Could be very soon or not so soon at all. In any event, the United States under my administration has done a great job of ridding the region of ISIS. Where is our thank you, America? So now you want to pat on the back because of what you're doing on ISIS. But he
did say in that press conference that the strikes that were previously done because of this the other gassing, any strikes that he would decide to do this time will be much more like comprehensive.
Yes,
it would be like much more extensive.
Nice, new, and smart.
Nice, new, and smart.
Yeah.
So what is he talking about when he means nice, new, and smart? He's talking about bombing. He's talking about weapons. He's talking about what targets he chooses. So essentially, that was a threat.
It was definitely a threat. Outright threat.
And if Russia was smart, and if Russia and Syria was smart, then for the most part, they would move all of their resources out of areas where they think that the United States would strike. Right. That's what they would do. They would get out of the way and make any strike kind of inconsequential.
And Russia has already vowed to attack those missiles, like down those missiles, and where they came from as well. So U.S. operations. I think bases.
That's a part of it that Trump is kind of not, I guess, taking into account. Yeah. Like, it's not just talking about shooting down the missiles. Mm-hmm. If Russia then targets the origin of the missiles, then that could be the start of a war. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he walked his comments back, because he was just poking his chest out anyway, and he recognized, oh shit, like I could start a war.
Yeah, but then, of course, I think there's a part to a lot of us that are thinking, like, this is a scheme. Like, we've talked about when presidents escalate things when they're going through like some difficult times, right? Mm-hmm. And Trump is going through a difficult time right now. He's going through a lot of controversy. His personal lawyer, his office and his residence was just raided by the FBI.
Members of his campaign team, his transition team have been indicted or have accepted plea deals.
The whole Mueller investigation. It's just like a very uncertain environment right now that he's living in. So what better way than to distract from that than to say, hey, you know, I'm going to throw some missiles over there because I really care about, you know, the Syrian people and we're worried about them and this is a catastrophe and blah, 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 blah. Whatever.
But see, his idea or his outlook on foreign policy is so simplistic that he thinks he can just throw missiles around and that be that. And then he look like the hero, not understanding that most likely that's going to have some serious consequences, not just in Syria but with Russia. And if he I guess creates conflict with Russia, he automatically creates conflict with Iran too.
Yep. And maybe China,
who he just entered a trade war with. Well, according to him, it's not a trade war.
Yeah, according to him. Now, my question is like, well, you know, he's claimed that he cares about the Syrian people and he's denounced this, you know, supposed attack by the Assad regime. My question is like, I mean, if you really care about people, like, where's your compassion for the people of Puerto Rico? And
where's your compassion for the people of Yemen, who kind of we are assisting in Saudi Arabia's efforts as we speak? That's true. So this whole idea that he cares about women and children, he cares about people, it doesn't line up.
He pretty much labeled the people of Puerto Rican as lazy and wanting everything done for them in the face of catastrophe, in the face of like devastating hurricanes that left most of the island without power. Oh, you're just lazy, you just want everything done for you. Really? But you're compassionate and you care about people. Man, get out of here, man, please. Anyway, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, he said Thursday, though, that he said, quote, "We have proof that chemical weapons were used last week, at least chlorine, and that they were used by the regime of Bashar al-Assad." He said that during an interview on France's TF1 television.
Yo, this seems like Weapons of Mass Destruction Part 2.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
It does. He said also that he's in constant communication with President Trump and that they would decide on the response, quote, "at the time of our choosing when we judge it to be the most useful and the most effective."
And see, that's the thing. You know, we related to Iraq, but it's actually a little bit more vast in Iraq because there's going to be elements that will definitely get involved that kind of we didn't see during the Iraq war. I call it a war, but more like an invasion.
And with that, it was us.
It was unilateral.
Exactly. With this, if you're talking about France getting involved and the UK as well, British Prime Minister Theresa May, she said, quote, "All the indications are that this was the responsibility of the Syrian regime, and we will now work with our closest allies to see how we can ensure those responsible are held to account." So again, it's like the major powers of on this globe are saying that Assad is responsible. He's guilty. This, in fact, did happen, and it did happen at the request of Assad. So we have to decide what our response is going to be. Again, I can't say for sure that Assad is responsible because I just haven't seen the evidence. I don't know, man. I have my doubts.
No, I'm very skeptical.
Very skeptical, man. I don't think that's a bad thing to be.
Because just weeks ago, Trump was talking about pulling any and all support out of Syria, of fighting any rebel forces. He said he's going to pretty much in the process of pulling all forces out, and all of a sudden, there's another chemical attack.
All of a sudden, man. All of a sudden.
Seems very convenient. But convenient for who, though?
Exactly, man. So we'll just see what happens going forward. Let's go to another one bites the dust, man. Let's go to the little one, man.
Yeah, we can do a little one.
So, where's that at? Let me pull that up. All right. Nadia Shadlow, who was the Deputy National Security Advisor, has resigned. Another one bites the dust. Another one. You said I had to grab the mic.
Yeah, as I said last time, I said you got to grab the mic.
I need a handheld one, though, man. Anyway, but yeah, man, there's another one. Another one bites the dust. This is what the third exit since the new National Security Advisor John Bolton has taken his spot in the administration. And as we have reported before, John Bolton is a war hawk. He has that war hawk type of mentality.
And he did say that he was going to clean house, you know, once he got in his position.
And kind of, to what? Get rid of what? Get rid of.
Well, no, he wanted people there that were loyal to Trump.
Right, and he wanted to get rid of people that weren't, I guess.
Yeah.
So again, this is the third exit. Shadlow was a confidant of Henry McMaster. Well, not Henry, but H.R. McMaster, and a close one. So it's no surprise that, you know, she's being shown to exit. These are not resignations. These are being pushed out the door, even though officially it is a resignation. Because the other two, it was a National Security Council spokesman, Michael Anton, and then Homeland Security Advisor, Tom Bossert. Those were the other two that left following Bolton's start, you know, being one of Trump's right-hand men. So in the coming days and the coming weeks, I believe we're going to see more and more of this, at least in the, you know, on the National Security Council
level
front. Yeah.
And especially seeing as the conflict with Syria doesn't seem to be dying down.
Exactly.
Or maybe I wouldn't call it a conflict with Syria. I'll call it a manufactured conflict with Syria.
That's possible. So who else would you want in your ear than a war hawk?
But see, I think like Trump, to me, again, I could be wrong, but I think he sees all these people as accessories. You know what I'm saying? Like people who are beside him, he sees them as accessories. Like his whole persona is based off of talking things up and not actually doing anything. He doesn't do anything. He's always been a businessman who's kind of like, do this, point this, I'm going to say this. It's all about image. And I just don't think he actually understands the ramifications of his bloviations. I don't think he does. And I don't necessarily think he's bringing people on that like he thinks want to actually go to war. He just may see them as accessories. Like, you know what I'm saying? He sees them as like I guess rhetorical strong men, because that's how he hires people. He hires people that were on Fox, or he hires people that gave him money, or he hires people that have said great things about him.
I think these new people,
it's very superficial. He just doesn't. Again, he doesn't understand the ramifications of that. I just think he just likes.
But these new people, I believe, are going to be easier, or they're going to be more willing to co-sign what he wants to do. The people that are leaving, like McMaster, Rex Tillerson, they were kind of trying to tame President Trump, trying to say, hey, you know, let's be reasonable here on this front, on this initiative and stuff like that. And that's not Trump's style. Trump wants to do what he wants to do, and I don't think he's going to get any pushback from people like John Bolton.
But the problem is, I think, like, when you say what Trump wants to do, that doesn't necessarily always follow what he says. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So Trump could say whatever he wants, and he can poke his chest out about, you know, warning Russia, bombing Syria. He can say all he wants, but I think he knows that he knows that those are just words. So his actions don't always follow that. That's my problem. Like, so he may be, you know, bringing on people that kind of like follow his line of thinking, but Trump has a line of thinking all on his own.
But see, that's what makes it dangerous.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, that's what makes it dangerous.
Like Trump's rhetoric, he's not always going to follow through with it, and I think he knows that. But he is stoking a fire, like with that rhetoric, by bringing people on that actually can do something about it. I honestly don't think that he always intends to do something when he pokes his chest out. We've seen this time and time again, because again, his whole persona is about just kind of like projection, not really action.
Another one bites the dust. Anyway, Facebook, you got to bite the dust now, man. So we're going to continue the rest of the show on YouTube. Thank you for being here. All 9 of you.
That's why you gotta go.
I know, that's why we gotta go. We just can't reach that many people on Facebook. You know, it's a whole thing. Anyway, we got the link in the description on you know, on the Facebook description. If you click it, you'll be taken to the rest of the show. We have lots more to discuss. The next thing we're going to be talking about is Mike Pompeo's confirmation hearing that started today. We have a district court nominee that seems to have some pretty disgusting beliefs. Seems to be. We're going to talk about sex trafficking. A bipartisan group is
trying to save Mueller.
Trying to save Mueller's position. Also, Bob Corker said some interesting things about the tax bill that was just passed a couple months ago. So yeah, we have a lot to get to.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, like, probably I think something that's very important is kind of Trump's repositioning himself in regard to the TPP.
Ooh. You don't want to miss that. The TPP is relevant again in 2018, and as it concerns Donald Trump, really? Huh. All right, so just click that link and you'll be taken to the show. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in just a few seconds. All right. All right. Close that. All right. Let's give it a few seconds. All right, we got some people here. Talking about anything? People talking about Syria.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I saw that, but man, I'm like, sometimes I think purposely what Tucker Carlson does is purposefully, like, he like strategically places his dissent, like, to get eyes back on him. Mm-hmm. And like, to me, like, I guess you can give, you know, Tucker Carlson a pat on the back one time, but I don't really trust it.
Well, hold on. If you're giving a Tucker Carlson on the pat on the back, then you might want to
Bernie Sanders.
No. You want to give your girl a pat on the back too.
Who?
What do you call her? Teriyaki Lentils?
Teriyaki Lentils?
Yeah, because she's against the Syrian war as well, or a potential Syrian war. Good old Tommy Lahren.
Tomato lizard. That's all I like.
She's against it too, man. So
they're to me, that just seems very strategic. They're just kind of like, they're trying to, like, I guess convenient contrarians. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing right now. I don't know if it's genuine, and I can't tell. But
man, she's reasonable. Mike about to lose it, man. Mike about to lose it.
Reasonable, and her name never should be in close proximity.
All right, let's get to it. All right. All right. CIA Director Mike Pompeo, President Trump's nominee to become the next Secretary of State, started his confirmation hearing today on Thursday, and there's a strong likelihood that he may not receive enough support to make it through that nomination hearing or through that confirmation hearing. It's been reported that Pompeo failed to disclose his business relationship with the Chinese oil and gas company, even though he was required to do so on a questionnaire before he was confirmed as the CIA director. So this is a big thing, and this is going to be something that the senators are going to be asking him questions about. When he was confirmed as CIA director, the vote was 66-32, with 14 Democratic senators approving his confirmation. Now, some of those Democrats may be rethinking things this time around, especially Democratic senators that may be facing reelection, like California's own Senator Dianne Feinstein. She voted for him the first time around, but it's expected that she will not vote for confirmation this time.
But why didn't this come up before, though?
Well, first of all, I don't know why it didn't come up during the first confirmation hearing about this connection that he has to the Chinese oil and gas company, but it's coming up now. And there's actually there's a very big movement across the country of Democrats, liberals that are very strongly opposed to Pompeo becoming the next Secretary of State. So they're also this is from The Intercept, I believe. I found this on The Intercept. And it reads, a survey of California voters provided to The Intercept found that 2/3 of those surveyed have an opinion on Pompeo. And among those who do, they disapprove of him by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. The survey was conducted by the Public Policy Polling for the liberal group MoveOn.org. By a 14-point margin, those polled said that they want the Senate to reject Pompeo and that they would reward Democrats in the fall if they vote against him. So again, this is something that these Democratic senators are going to be thinking about, especially if they are coming up for re-election this fall. I have my doubts because of the 14 Democratic senators that voted for his confirmation in approval of his confirmation as CIA director. You have certain, I would describe conservative Democrats like Claire McCaskill, Mark Warner. You have Dianne Feinstein, Chuck Schumer, Joe Donnelly, Heidi Heitkamp, Amy Klobuchar, Joe Manchin.
So you're saying they don't really care about the endorsement? They don't care about getting an endorsement? Is that what you're saying?
See, depends on their. I don't know. It's hard to say. If it looks like they're gonna be facing tough sledding, getting reelected, then they may feel they may feel that a change needs to be made, and they will reject Mike Pompeo this time around. Now, if they did take a united front, it's likely that he would not become confirmed because Rand Paul, the Republican out of Kentucky, he is likely not going to vote for him, as he did not vote for him during the CIA director confirmation hearing. And the Senator John McCain from Arizona, he's likely not to be there as well. I don't think he was there because he's undergoing cancer treatment. So that makes only, 49 that they have? Because they have a 51-49 majority in the Senate. So that makes only 49 Republicans that can vote for him. You would need all the Democrats. Yeah, you would need all the Democrats.
I don't think they can. I don't think all the Democrats will flip, though. I don't think that all the Democrats will feel like they're in a financial pinch to the point where they're going to flip their vote.
That's why I have my doubts, because a lot of these senators are conservative Democrats. They are very centrist in ideology. But anyway, Mike Pompeo, now, he should not become the next Secretary of State. He shouldn't even have been the CIA director. But being the Secretary of State, we have to take into account what his positions on things have been, right? So we know that he is he's an Islamophobe, okay? He is somebody that has always been against the Iran nuclear agreement as well. So if he gets into office, if he gets to be the Secretary of State, I don't think anybody doubts that he's going to try to rip up that agreement. And a lot of people believe that if you do rip up that agreement, that Iran has not been in violation of. I have to point that out. They have not been in violation of the agreement. But if you tear that up, a lot of people see it as though war is going to be imminent. Don't know when, but it seems like war will happen at that point. Because if you're going to penalize Iran for doing nothing wrong, why wouldn't they be hostile to us at that point?
Well, I don't think it matters to Pompeo because he's kind of been expressively bigoted towards Islam.
He has.
So I don't think it matters to him how Iran behaves in regard to the deal. Mm-hmm. He's looking to blow it up, not because of no matter what, mm-hmm. because he's already casted them as a axis of evil who needs to be taken down. So it really doesn't matter to him. What I'm kind of what kind of confuses me is the fact that his involvement in the company is not like some sort of like passive investor. That's my thing. And also, you don't. I pretty much don't care if he was a passive investor anyway, but he had ownership in the company.
Right.
It wasn't like it was just like he was throwing his money to like some investment firm, and they were kind of like diversifying his money to certain investments, and he didn't know about it. This is a company he had like participation in.
Direct
he knew this is not something
with.
you just. It's not something that you just like. Oh, it falls out of your pocket, and
and I forgot about it too.
Oh yeah, it just landed in a crevice in the couch.
Yeah,
that's not something that happens.
He was required to put that on the questionnaire.
He was just required to disclose that, and he didn't. And if you don't, the thing is, if he didn't disclose that, right? Then there's a reason behind why he didn't disclose it, because he knows that there is a conflict of interest there. Otherwise, he would have just disclosed it, and otherwise he would just disclose it and let us know about it,
exactly.
Or let the confirmation committee know about it.
But there was a reason why.
There's only one reason why you wouldn't disclose information like that, and now it's actually more, I guess, pertinent to talk about now. Seeing as we just hit China with those tariffs, and China's threatening to hit us with those tariffs, and I wonder how that affects whatever business investments he has in regard to his company in China. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why it's important to disclose that information before you get confirmed.
Another thing I point out on the Islamophobe front is years back when he was a U.S. representative in the House from Kansas. After the Boston Marathon bombing, he took to the floor of the House and he read from a prepared statement that went something like this. He said, "The silence of American Islamic leaders makes them complicit in the bombing." That wasn't an exact quote, but it's pretty damn close. So he's saying that the silence of these Islamic leaders makes them just as responsible as the people that committed the crime. Now, within hours of the attack, there were several American Muslim organizations that offered denunciations of this attack. Within days, there were prayer vigils, there were blood drives, there were organized Muslim news conferences where they denounced it yet again. Did Mike Pompeo offer a retraction? Did Mike Pompeo offer an apology? Never, not once.
But see, those things don't exist to him. Those things never happen. So, like I said, it doesn't matter. He already has a narrative going into into this job. He already had a narrative already set up. So anything that contradicts that, it doesn't matter to him. But I do think it's interesting that he sets that standard for them, but
right.
He definitely wouldn't set that standard for us. You know what I'm saying? Because America remains silent for the most part all the time.
Yeah, we do.
So if that's the case, I guess that makes us responsible. You know what I'm saying?
But he wouldn't have that opinion.
But he wouldn't have that opinion.
He's also talking about last year, I believe, he talked about regime change in North Korea. Only way you get regime change in North Korea is through a violent action.
Through preemptive. Actually, I don't even want to use that word preemptive. I don't even like that word use the word preemptive, because it suggests that like there's an imminent threat coming from that country.
Right. Which no one can say that.
No one can say that. No one can say that about North Korea. No one can say that, well, especially him. He can't say that about Iran either.
Nope, cannot. All right, well, we'll just see how this confirmation works this time around, and I definitely want to be, I definitely want to note how the Democrats are going to vote this time around. That's going to be interesting. Is it going to be any different? Is it going to be the same 14 that voted for him this time around? It's going to be interesting, especially Feinstein. No, especially all of them, but Feinstein, you're facing it seems like she's facing a tough re-election bid.
And she's already kind of been like Heismaned.
Yes.
By, she's already been Heismaned by a lot of the members in the party.
Well, she wasn't endorsed by the party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They Heismaned her.
Exactly.
So she's either going to have to buck up
She's gonna have to do something, right?
She's gonna have to do something to make herself look like she's at least
like the progressive she is.
I don't think she can. I don't think she can do anything to kind of like take that, perception change.
No, she can't.
I don't think she can take that perception change. There's no way she's taking that.
Nah. She's done too much dirt, man. All right, let's go to Vitter. All right. All right. Anyway. All right. Wendy Vitter is a Louisiana lawyer, currently the general counsel for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New Orleans. She's also the wife of former Republican U.S. Senator David Vitter, who left office in disgrace after the whole D.C. Madam scandal, the sex scandal. Now, Wendy Vitter was nominated by President Trump to be a federal judge in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Louisiana. Now, during her confirmation hearing on Wednesday, Senator Richard Blumenthal asked Vitter if she believes Brown v. Board of Education was correctly decided. Now, Brown v. Board of Education was a landmark U.S. Supreme Court case that established that segregation in schools was unconstitutional. So she refused to deliver an answer in the affirmative or in the negative. She did deliver an answer, but it was not a yes or no. So we have some video from that exchange that the two of them had.
Do you believe that Brown versus Board of Education was correctly decided?
Senator, I don't mean to be coy, but I think I get into a difficult area when I start commenting on Supreme Court decisions which are correctly decided and which I may disagree with. Again, my personal political or religious views I would set aside. That is Supreme Court precedent. It is binding. If I were honored to be confirmed, I would be bound by it, and of course I would uphold it.
Do you believe it was correctly decided?
And again, I will respectfully not comment on what could be my boss's ruling, the Supreme Court. I would be bound by it, and if I start commenting on I agree with this case or don't agree with this case, I think we get into a slippery slope.
I don't think she understands what the word slippery slope means. Like, her opinion is not a slippery slope to anything. Well, you know what? Maybe it is. Her opinion may be a slippery slope to revealing her beliefs. And she did say your personal beliefs would take like a back seat. She didn't use the word back seat, but her personal beliefs would take a back seat. Now, I understand that. Like, there's I can understand that certain judges have to sidestep their own beliefs to accommodate the Constitution, like religious beliefs. That's different. The question was about segregation.
Just point blank and simple. Segregation in schools. Do you believe that the decision was decided correctly?
So what beliefs is she sidestepping?
She said one part of her statement was that she wouldn't respond because she doesn't want to start commenting on Supreme Court decisions which are correctly decided and which I may disagree with. Now, this was not, we talked about this before, this was not a softball question.
I called it a softball.
Yeah, he called it a softball.
I was like, how the hell couldn't she answer a softball question like that? And then you responded to me.
This was a T-ball question. This was just set on the tee. Just have a whack at it. It's not going to be moving at all. This is a stationary target. And she completely whiffed. She admitted herself. I mean, like, she didn't say, no, I don't believe in it, or no, I believe it was decided incorrectly. But really, by what she didn't say,
she's revealing. She
revealed that, yeah, she believes in segregation. That's why she doesn't want to answer. If you believe that segregation should not take place in United States schools, then it would be very simple for you to say absolutely not. or no, it would be, because the question was,
do you
believe?
agree?
Yeah, do you believe it was decided correctly? You would be very emphatic with saying, hell yeah.
If you did believe and you did agree that that was the correct decision, but if you didn't,
then you would have to construct some kind of
if you not
answer that like gets you out of the question.
If you didn't and then did not want to reveal that,
yes,
you would have to, like you said, construct some sort of answer that would allow you to kind of scuttle out of the situation.
You know, this is very unrelated, but you remember during the whole baseball steroids controversy, and Mark McGwire was facing questions in Congress, and they asked him specifically if he did, and he was like, "Well, I'm not here to talk about myself." Well, hold up, dog. What? Like, well, hold on. Have you taken steroids? I'm not. You know what? That's not what I'm here for. That's basically what she did. She didn't want to answer because her honest answer would have been like, "Yeah, I'm kind of supportive of segregation."
But like, as a judge, a current judge or a potential judge, is it like out of the ordinary to give opinions on certain court rulings? Is that an unusual position to be in, even publicly?
No. See, this is something that, she's making it seem like there are no dissenting opinions in court cases, when there are always dissenting opinions, especially with the U.S. Supreme Court. Like, all of them, the 9 justices,
nah, dog,
they don't have the same idea.
It's always 9-0, dog.
It's like on very important cases, it's virtually never 9-0 because they have clear differences. And when they do get to a place where it's, you know, where it's 5-4 or 6-3 or whatever like that, there is a dissenting opinion that is offered by the people on the bench that are like, no, I don't agree with this whatsoever, and I'm going to tell you why. So if they can tell you why does Wendy Vitter feel that she can't do that?
So not only is there dissenting votes, there's always going to be commentary surrounding why they dissented and why those votes contradicted those of their fellow justices.
And they explain it they craft these dissenting opinions very carefully. They're often very long. Why can't you do the same? If you do not believe in, if you do believe in segregation, then you can tell the American people why you do.
No, she can't.
She just did, though. She just did.
Well, not directly. I mean, how's that look? I personally believe segregation is okay, but the Constitution compels me to do the right thing, so I can't rule in favor of my belief. That would not be a good look.
But see, this is the problem, okay? I mean, well damn. If you believe in segregation, that is the problem, but this is another problem, okay? By having that viewpoint, you said that, you know, we heard her herself say that, hey, I'm bound by the ruling and I'm going to uphold that. You know, I'm going to put my personal opinions by the side. I'm going to put my religious views by the side. I'm going to uphold the Constitution. I'm going to uphold these verdicts or these rulings, right? The problem with that is that the district that she's going to be serving, the Eastern District of Louisiana, includes New Orleans. New Orleans has a population that has, the majority of the population is black. I think it's about 60% black. Mm-hmm. So she's going to be serving this community. Now, do you think do you think her personal opinions might show up from time to time in court cases? Do you think that maybe if there's a case regarding discrimination, or even forget what the court case is, if there is just a black person on one side and a white person on the other side, can we be confident that she's going to look at this case objectively and just leave it there? Or will her own feelings about, like, her own worldview come into play?
Well, we see, you know, the worldview of judges come into play all the time.
Because they're people, right?
Because they're people. And I think that's the issue with I think that's the issue right there. Because, you know, I would want a judge who has kind of, I guess, taken account into certain things in society and has developed their own worldview that matches up with what is written in the Constitution. You see what I'm saying? And what matches up according to how they're supposed to rule. That's kind of my kind of utopia right there.
Right.
That their worldview would actually match up, and there wouldn't be any conflict. You wouldn't have to sidestep some bigotry, or you wouldn't have to sidestep some belief in order to make the right ruling, because those two things are always going to be in conflict, because you're always still at some sort of mental tug of war justifying why you have your own personal belief, and that is going to come into play in court at some point. We're not saying that it's going to come into play all the time, but at some point it is.
Yep. And that is very troublesome, especially when you account for the fact the community that she's going to be servicing. Now, during this confirmation hearing, there were also other topics that were brought up. Abortion was a topic that was brought up, and she is self-admittedly pro-life. Okay, so from my personal opinion is that if you are personally pro-life, I don't have a problem with that. There are many people that are pro-life. It's when you try to project that feeling on everybody else and try to say that, well, no, this should be illegal. You don't have a right to do that. It's not your life. You don't have a say in this.
You're actively promoting things like punishment for people who get abortions. You're actively promoting that, like things like Planned Parenthood be shut down. Then when it becomes active, it no longer is a personal belief. Those beliefs have now translated to actions, and that's a problem.
Right. So on the subject of abortion, she was fielding questions about it, and this is per NPR. In particular, Vitter sought to distance herself from a brochure she had appeared to endorse while leading a panel at a pro-life conference in 2013. The panel was called "Abortion Hurts Women," and the brochure promoted a variety of unsubstantiated claims linking birth control pills to breast cancer, cervical and liver cancers, and violent death. Okay. Now, the violent death aspect of that, I'm pretty sure whoever is seeing that is like, well, hold on. How the hell do you connect birth control pills to violent death, right? Okay, again, so this is per the NPR. So the brochure alleged that women who take oral contraceptives prefer men with similar DNA, and that women in these partnerships have fewer sexual relationships, leading to more adultery and, understandably, violence.
Wait a second. So, okay, I'm trying to follow the line. Birth control leads to more freaky deaky. Freaky deaky, she's a freak now. She looks to have more sex.
Right.
Then that leads to abusive relationships. Then death.
Yes. Violent death. At the hands of an abuser. That's what this brochure that she was touting claimed. That this is the woman that wants to be a federal court judge.
See, again, this goes to her rationale. That's the point. This goes to her ability to use her personal rationalization, and I think that's important. I just think it's very difficult to separate the two. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to rule using a very sensible rationale, but yet
it's obvious you
I
don't
have a
have
history
that
of
rationale.
Displaying very faulty rationale.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
At this conference in 2013, these were her words. Okay, go to Dr. Angela's website, and Dr. Angela is Dr. Angela Lanfranchi. She's the one that authored the brochure. So she says, go to Dr. Angela's website, Breast Cancer Prevention Institute, download it, and at your next physical, you walk into your pro-life doctor and say, have you thought about putting these facts or this brochure in your waiting room? Each one of you can be the pro-life advocate to take that next step. That's what you do with it. I'm not even making this up, right? So on the brochure, Democratic Senator Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, I believe, she said, quote, judges have to apply common sense. Does it even make sense to you that people who use birth control pills would be more likely to be assaulted or murdered? So after a pause, Vitter conceded, no, it doesn't make sense. This is crazy. This is absolutely
promiscuity leads to death. That's pretty much what it's saying.
Yes. You don't want to become pregnant.
Well, birth control leads to more promiscuity.
I'm going to take steps to make sure that I don't become pregnant, and that's going to lead to me choosing a partner who's violent
automatically
and will kill me.
Automatically.
Yes.
Automatically, when you get pregnant unwantingly, you're automatically pregnant with somebody who is going to abuse you and perhaps kill you.
Oh my gosh. So there's more, right? So many times throughout this hearing, Wendy Vitter Wendy Vitter said that she was pro-life, and we already know that. And she said that she would uphold Roe v. Wade, though, because that's the law of the land, and she's going to put her personal feelings to the side. Okay. Again, at the same pro-life conference in 2013, Vitter spoke in favor of laws enacted in Texas regulating abortion. It was being challenged in court at the time, and Texas's position was that the laws were to protect women's health, which was bullshit. And Vitter actually, she understood this. She understood what it was really about. So she said at the conference that she was glad that Texas was, quote, making great strides in making it very difficult to get abortions. So hold on. You say that you're going to uphold the law of the land. You're going to uphold Roe v. Wade. But in 2013, you were celebrating the fact that the laws that were passed in Texas were making it harder for women to get an abortion. That's not what Roe v. Wade is about.
So what you're saying is she allowed her personal viewpoint, her personal worldview to override the Constitution.
Yep. And guess what the U.S. Supreme Court decided about those Texas laws? They were unconstitutional because it interfered with a woman's right to get an abortion and actually made it less safe.
So she has a history of she has a documented history of allowing her personal viewpoint to get in the way of the Constitution and court rulings. So does this kind of give us a glimpse as to how she would approach the question that was asked of her in this confirmation hearing?
Exactly. So all of these are predictors to how she would serve on the bench, right? All of these.
Her documented past, her viewpoints, and not just, again, this is not just her beliefs per se.
No.
These beliefs actually translated into actions.
Right. Again, like her beliefs. Look, I don't think there's anybody alive that is pro-abortion. Nobody's pro-abortion. Now, people are pro-choice. People believe that women should get the right to decide what is right for them, what's best for them family, what's best for their body, right? But nobody's pro-abortion. I think everybody wants to see abortion numbers go down. So I don't even like, if you're pro-life, that's not a position that I can't understand. But when you have the checkered past of Wendy Vitter, and you illustrate that it's not just going to remain in your head, it's not just going to remain something that you personally feel, it's going to come outwards, and you're going to try to push that on other people. And when you have the position on a federal bench, that's too dangerous. That's unacceptable.
No, I mean, I agree. I don't think anything else needs to be said.
She can't be confirmed, man, right?
Well, if you saw the look on Blumenthal's face, because I was like, I'm glad you had the mic cut when you started the clip, because like he asked the question and then she tried to scuttle away, right? And like he didn't change expressions at all. No. He just was standing there. He's like, how would you like? He just asked it again. I was like, with it like just a blank, like straight face.
Oh my gosh, man. Now, see, the bad thing is, though, that Republicans have not rejected any of President Trump's nominations thus far. That's the bad thing. Now, there were a few judges that withdrew their name from consideration. You remember that, right? There were a few of them that did that because they had no experience, they had no business holding this type of position. one guy, I think it was Peterson. I think
he actually had not like. He hadn't participated in any.
Yeah, he had no trial experience
whatsoever,
and he could not answer simple questions that somebody that would be taking that position should know the answers to.
They were asking them like, "So what do you think about this ruling? What do you think about this ruling?"
Yes.
Like they were using like basically basic,
legal language,
court terminology,
right?
Like, and he was like, "Well, I'll have to."
like I have to be honest. I don't really know about
or
that.
Or he would say something like, I mean, personally, I haven't experienced that yet. And I'm like, oh Lord.
But see,
the best people,
the best people for the job, right? He knows the best people. Again,
maybe it's the best people to him.
Somebody that believes in segregation.
Well, that does line up with
Hey, I would not be surprised. I'm just saying, on a federal bench, that's who you're gonna put forth. Obviously, Blumenthal knew something to give her that question, right? Obviously, somebody put the bug in his ears. Like, I'm sure somebody knew something about this. That's why she had that question delivered to her, and it put her on blast, man.
Again, she pretty much didn't reveal her beliefs directly, but she talked around them so much. Yes. She like drew a target, right? You know what I'm saying? It created a target.
So this is what I see happening, okay? I don't see her getting confirmed. I could be very wrong. Noted, I could be very wrong. What I actually see happening, I think she's going to withdraw her name.
Oh, because she kind of embarrassed. And all this other stuff came out as a result of this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this stuff is documented and there's articles on it, but it really wasn't highlighted a lot when it was going down. But now that
now you want this prime position.
Now you want this prime position. All that stuff is coming out. So you might be right. Man.
Now, if that doesn't happen and the Senate actually does vote to confirm her, and who's leading the way are Republicans, man, I don't want to hear one more thing about how Republicans stand for equality and justice.
And I don't want to hear.
Hell no.
I don't want to hear one thing about how they stand up for the Constitution.
Because the Constitution. Let's see. Hold on. The Brown v. Board of Education. That ruled that segregation was unconstitutional, right? So if a federal judge is like, well, you know, I might have a different personal opinion, and you vote to confirm that individual, oh my, they would. This would be the extreme bad look of the year,
because it would prove that. To me, I already knew it, but it will kind of
know that,
give confirmation that they just use the Constitution as a prop.
That's so to confirm something like that, that like you're okay with a district judge approving of segregation. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see how this confirmation goes, man. I'm just waiting, man. Republicans, go ahead, tell the country who you are,
if they haven't already.
But this will be very blatant.
Okay.
This will be undeniable who they are as a group.
Undeniable too. Because see, when you're saying that, you're kind of suggesting that
like there's some question right now.
No, you're suggesting that their supporters will be like, "Damn it! Like, look at who we support." That, like, you think they'll come into this aha moment. This is who we've been supporting. We can't stand for this.
Not all of them. But just like in what was it, the 3rd district in Illinois, the damn Nazi, who is the nominee for the Republican Party now. A lot of Republicans that lived in the area were like, damn, we sure enough can't vote for this clown because this dude is a Nazi, man. He hates hell no, we can't vote for him. So no doubt they voted for Democrats, or they just stayed home. So I have no doubt that there are Republicans that aren't racist and they don't believe in segregation and stuff like that. So if they actually saw that coming from their party, like approving of that, you couldn't just like you couldn't just like, oh, they didn't catch me, I didn't even see it.
You sound a little too optimistic. All right.
I'm
sorry, man. I'm over here. I missed the pessimism. Over here.
Well, we will see what happens, man. We'll see what happens, man. Let's move on. I see a lot of people in the chat talking about Syria, though, man. Anyway, let's just move on. All right, let's go to the TPP, man. It should be fun.
Yeah, that was a heavy topic during the election.
Oh, it was explosive. It was explosive.
It was probably, I would consider it a election wedge issue.
You would not be wrong. You would not be wrong. And Donald Trump treated it like a wedge issue, did he not?
Yes, that was like, because everybody, like, I guess it's like this every election, but for the 2016 election cycle, the primary subject matter surrounded economic security. And so, of course, that was going to be a wedge issue. You know what I'm saying?
So, on Thursday, after a trade meeting, Republican senators claimed that President Donald Trump instructed top administration officials to explore re-entering the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is also called the TPP. Now, this trade pact, as we just stated,
you sure it's the same TPP?
It's the same old TPP.
You sure it's not called like the tremendous purple pony?
No.
You sure?
The Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP. Same old trade agreement that many people were talking about during 2016, including then candidate Donald Trump, which he declared that it was disgusting. He called it a disaster. He said that there's no way that, he would put us into that trade agreement.
He referenced NAFTA.
He referenced NAFTA.
He referenced it because, it was, Bill Clinton promoted it.
That's correct. And specifically why he was going so hard against it in 2016 is because it was looked at by many people, including us, that the Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton was for it. Because when she was Secretary of State, on at least 45 different occasions, she publicly supported the TPP.
And she called it the what?
She called it the gold standard in trade agreements. She said it would lead to just this influx of jobs for the country.
But that was kind of before the election cycle. Most of the
that's why she was Secretary of State.
Yeah, while the positive things she said about it were, not during the campaign trail.
Right.
So once she started running and the questions started coming up, she started kind of like waffling on
she was ducking them. She was ducking them. She was ducking them hard, man.
She was scuttling.
No doubt.
She was trying to scuttle away from the questions.
Yeah. And then she had that interview with PBS. And then she finally said, well, with what I know about it, I can't support it. Everybody's like, what? We got videos of you supporting it at least 45 different times and calling it the gold standard. Like, what are you talking about? And I remember I wrote an article about this as well, right? At the time of that interview with PBS, she said that she couldn't support it based on what she came to learn about it. The full text of the TPP had not come out yet. So how could she say what she knew about it? Whatever she knew about it when she was the Secretary of State.
Or she's saying she promoted it 45 plus times without knowing about it. So either way, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. But again, going back to Donald Trump, he made this a wedge issue. This was a big part of his campaign. Big part of his candidacy.
And what's the first thing one of the first thing he did, like after he got inaugurated, was what? He pulled us out of the TPP, which that's actually a mischaracterization of what actually happened. And I've been trying to tell people, and I'm like, let's not give this dude a pat on the back because the TPP had not become active yet.
Active, right? We weren't in it.
At the time, we weren't in it.
Right.
He just kind of took us out of the talks. It hadn't even been like, because I think there was still more countries involved that had to like vote on it,
and we hadn't voted on it.
We hadn't voted on it yet, and it wasn't going to be at that time. If we voted it on it at that time to be in it, and with those other countries, it still would be around this time to where it wouldn't become active. Right. So he didn't pull us out of anything we weren't in. He just pulled us out of the talks. But now it seems as if he's
push us back in. Right.
So a lot of people, a lot of very popular media personalities, a lot of them on Facebook, a lot of them on YouTube, a lot of them so-called progressives switch their, I guess, their vote or their support or their identity to supporting Trump. And that was one of the main kind of points they used to justify it. The TPP, he pulled us out, so he saved us, and that's why I'm voting for Trump. That was like, again, you said it
was a wedge issue. Many people based on that issue was like, we definitely can't vote for Hillary Clinton. Let's go with Trump. See, he's not trying to send our jobs overseas.
So the two main issues I saw people talking about was, he's not a war hawk like Hillary. That has proven to be
false.
He pulled us out of the TPP. That's a mischaracterization, so that was false from the jump. But now he's getting us back in. So pretty much your 1 and 2 reasons for flipping your support for Trump or just supporting Trump in general look to be flimsy.
Yeah, look to be like they're going by the wayside now.
By the wayside. It's way beyond the wayside.
So Senator Ben Sasse, Republican from Nebraska, he said after this meeting on trade, he said, quote, "The president multiple times reaffirmed in general to all of us and looked right at Larry Kudlow and said, 'Larry, go get it done.'" This is coming from one of the Republican senators that are privy to President Trump's words. President Trump, I'm not aware of President Trump being like, damn it, that damn Sasse, he's lying on me. No tweets.
That's not quite, how things went down in the meeting, that he didn't say that.
No. Seems like he is actually kind of toying around with the idea of entering into the TPP.
And that's the wedge, that's the issue he used to, I guess, try to at least rhetorically elevate himself over Hillary Clinton.
Yes. Now, I think during 2016, we talked about the TPP many different times. But just on one issue, why the TPP would be bad for America or, bad for us is that foreign companies would be able to sue local, state, federal governments if we implemented like a raise in salary, a raise in wages, or any other law that would cut into their profits.
It also exempted companies from following environmental regulations.
Yes, because it cuts into their profits.
So anything that cuts into the profits, regardless of if it's just advocating humane treatment and environmental protection, doesn't matter. Yes,
they would have the ability to sue America, like I said, local governments or America in as a whole in an international tribunal. So it wouldn't even be a case that's handled by the United States of America. It'd be an international tribunal, and they will vote in favor of the corporation.
Basically arbitration,
no doubt. And again, who authored the TPP? How did it come together? The corporations write it? Lobbyists? Yes, they did. This was going to be a windfall for corporations, the biggest businesses of the bunch. It wasn't going to be a windfall for the regular Americans or the regular people. No, it wasn't going to be good for us.
He wasn't going to go to war. Got us out of the TPP. He's going to build the wall. He's going to lock her up.
Lock her up.
Get rid of Obamacare.
Yep.
Has any of those things happened?
No.
Okay, I can understand, right? If like there was going to be like a grace period before he started to work on any of these things, but this is not one of those. This is not one of those issues. He actually is going back on these things. He's going back on not being a war hawk. He's going back on the TPP. So I'm just trying to figure out for people who were loyal to electing him, where do you draw the line? And just kind of just go ahead and come to the realization that this joker was a fraud.
You know that saying that I like to say, man?
Pain is coming.
The pain is coming.
Yeah.
You know that
the pain is coming.
The pain is coming, right? So this is what's interesting to me, right? Like you perfectly described it. The TPP was a major wedge issue in 2016 in trying to choose between Trump and Clinton. Okay. Now Trump is signaling his intentions of getting into the TPP. So for the Trump supporters out there, noting how devastating they believe that the TPP was going to be for America, if Trump as president actually gets us into it, is your support going to waver even a little bit? Is it going to waver? Is that foundation going to start to crack just a little bit? I'm just asking. I'm really wondering here.
Looking at the first year and a quarter, of his presidency, it looks as if some of his support is slipping. And then you mentioned, the race in Wisconsin, races in Wisconsin early in the show. And it's not the first time you mentioned those races, but we've mentioned races in other states,
right? And
how districts that he won by a large margin are almost flipping democratically now.
Right.
So if he can lose this amount of support within the first year and a quarter, I was Mr. Pessimistic, like at the end of the other story,
right?
But I'm actually looking at a trend now.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna look at a trend and look at and these things aren't happening in secret. All these things that he's kind of going back on are not happening in secret. They're happening out in the open. And I do think that's one of the reasons why his support has dropped so quickly. If there's more coverage on this TPP and there's more progress in regard to the Trump administration and going forward with kind of reinserting America, the United States, back into the TPP, then I can see his popularity and support dropping even more. There are always going to be those there's always going to be those diamond and silks.
Yeah, those loyalists.
There's always going to be the diamond
Stump
and
for
silks.
Trump.
So there's nothing we can do about that. But I do think that there's going to be enough people that kind of slowly start to jump off the Trump train.
See, the loyalists, really, that section of people is not vast. I don't think that section of people is vast. When you're considering all the people that voted for Trump, the Trump loyalists, I don't think that's the biggest margin. I mean, like, that's not the biggest group of people. The biggest group of people, I think, were the people like, hey, he says he's gonna change it up. He says he's gonna drain the swamp. We can't vote for Hillary. He's against the TPP. You know what? We're gonna give this dude a chance, man. Like you said, noting the way this first year has gone, and now with this news about the TPP, the pain is coming. The pain is coming. Get that t-shirt on shop.spreadshirt.com/LTMB.
You know what, Mose was like, just reviewing some of the comments from that video, these mugs was so mad. These mugs was so mad. And it's not like we were like, I guess, itching for the pain to be coming. It's not that we were like, hopefully that the pain was coming. That was just a reality based on what we had seen from Trump.
Exactly.
So it's not like we were hoping that the economy would suffer.
Right. It's not us wishing, like, you hear people like, oh, you're wishing for Donald Trump to fail. You rather see him fail. You rather the country to fail than to him rather him to succeed. And that's not the case. We just see the writing on the wall.
I'm like, that's why we talked about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We weren't talking about it like because
this is great news.
It's like,
look how it's gonna fail us.
Like, if we would have talked about it like it was a great thing, that wouldn't have made it great.
No.
So talking about things as if they're great doesn't make things great. So we're not going to like respond to policy recommendations or like new economic theory, or not, I wouldn't say new economic theory, or whatever economic theory he supports. We're not going to respond to it in a way that doesn't reflect what those things actually mean and the consequences of those things. You just can't be positive for the sake of being positive when the actual thing we're talking about is not positive. It just doesn't make sense.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the bipartisan group. All right. So a bipartisan group of senators have proposed legislation to limit President Trump's ability to fire special counsel Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller is the guy that is running the whole Russia investigation, the investigation into collusion,
tax fraud,
Russian interference, things like that about the Trump campaign. So Senators Cory Booker, Lindsey Graham, Christopher Coons, and Tom Tillis introduced the Special Counsel Independence and Integrity Act on Wednesday, which would let any special counsel receive an expedited review within 10 days in the event that they were fired. If it was determined that the special counsel was not fired for good cause, they would be immediately reinstated. So Senator Coons said, quote, "We need to ensure not only that Special Counsel Mueller can complete his work without interference, but that special counselors in future investigations can too." So this is all, no doubt, because of, for a long time, it's been reported that President Trump wants to fire Mueller. Now with the FBI raid on President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, now Rod Rosenstein might be on the chopping block as well. He's the deputy attorney general. Rod Rosenstein allowed that FBI raid to go forward. So I noticed today that Rod Rosenstein actually met with Trump at the White House. Now, there was no word on exactly the content. That, it was reported that this was, they were just speaking about DOJ business. This is something that's very usual. But we know how furious Donald Trump is at Rosenstein. So there's even been talk about Rosenstein being fired. And if that happens, there's no doubt that whoever gets his place would do what? Would they fire Mueller? Of course they would.
Of course they fire Mueller. Of course they fire Mueller. Well, that depends on whether he has... Well, he's going to have complete control who gets in that position.
Right.
But it's still not going to be a good look. And they understand that Trump is unhinged. He was unhinged on Twitter talking about witch hunt. And then during his little press conference in response to the raid, you can tell he respect on my name. He had his arms
broke in
and lip poked out. So he feels like he has his back up against the wall.
Yes.
And he's not above firing any people who are investigating him. We already know.
That's correct.
And he's kind of already trying to I guess test the air. That's why that's the whole idea behind the Twitter rants. Is he's just testing the waters. People, because he'll say things like, people are saying I should fire him. People are saying, so right there he's already trying to get people's minds ready for it. Right. Well, it's not him, it's some people. And another instance of where he's trying to get people's minds ready for either Mueller or Rosenstein being fired is when he says things like, it's an attack on the American people. You see what I'm saying? Like the American people are being attacked. So that already gives me indication that he's just warming it up. He's just revving it up to justify.
Like you said, he's getting people used to the idea that Mueller is on his way out.
And on his way out and just trying to provide justifications for that. It's not because I'm afraid. It's not because my lawyer's, offices got raided. It's not because of all these other indictments. It's not because, my taxes and it may lead to, financial roads that I don't want him to go down. It's because America's being attacked. Right. So once he went there, I think there were some of our representatives that recognized, hey, hold a second. If he does this, not we all gonna look bad.
Exactly. So they're trying to get around him, try to preempt his inevitable choice of trying to fire. Both of them, Rosenstein and Mueller. Senator Lindsey Graham appeared on Fox News, and this is what he said. "Mr. President, if you're watching, I think you're going to be fine unless you screw this up. Let the process play out. I don't believe you colluded with the Russians, but Mueller will soon tell us. The Cohen situation, I am convinced, has got nothing to do with Russia."
if like who does he think he's talking to? Like that just sounds too rational for. Seriously, that just sounds too rational of a message to send to Trump, as if he's going to listen to it. And like honestly, collusion is probably not even what he's worried about. Regardless of the collusion issue, there's obviously something that Trump is afraid that will be found out. Right. So I don't even think, that kind of message to him about, I don't believe there's Russian collusion, so you don't have anything to worry about. Trump is worried about some other stuff that may come out. Stuff, yeah. So
but this is the thing, man. What does it say when a bipartisan group of senators, which of course includes Republicans, has to band together to draft some legislation to limit your ability to fire the special counsel? You have said all along that this is a witch hunt. There's nothing's being done. I mean, like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm gonna get away scot-free because I didn't do anything. There's nothing here. What does it say when the senators, especially Republican senators, who in public have said that they believe you and this thing is a witch hunt? What does it say when you have to band together to say we have got to do something just in case Trump acts?
Basically, they're trying to prevent Trump from abusing his power. And also,
but why would he abuse his power if he didn't do anything wrong?
But what does it say? What does it really say about the senators who both claim at the same time that they believe he didn't do anything and it's a witch hunt? But let's let it play out.
Yeah.
To me, I think they're just saying that. I think they're just kind of like saying that to, I don't know, save face as far as the party goes. I believe it's a witch hunt. Yeah. I believe it's a witch hunt. I don't think it's a legitimate investigation. But hey, I agree that it should play out. I think they have no choice here. I think their backs are against the wall.
If he was to fire Mueller, it's not just Democrats. It's not just independents. It's not just Republicans that are saying it. It looks like that would be a devastating move. It looks like that would be. I don't know if we already have arrived at the beginning of the ending of his presidency, but depending on what happens in 2018 in the midterm elections, impeachment proceedings, I'm not going to say they're likely, but
we say if the numbers flip, if the seats flip,
do you have any, like, would you be surprised if the Democrats actually banded together to try to get that done? I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever.
I wouldn't be surprised
especially
either.
if he made the move to get rid of Mueller.
Then it's not even just about Trump. They're going to make it about the Republican Party. even if this bill is bipartisan, it's still going to be about the Republican Party and how they supported this. So again, it's going to be more than just about Trump. And I think that there are some Republican senators who see that writing on the wall, and that's why they're kind of being involved in this bipartisan bill to protect Mueller. Because they know that it's not just going to affect Donald Trump, it's going to affect the party. And it could, I guess, it could deem very, they can have more casualties down the line, not just in these midterms.
It's just interesting, man. Like you just called him just a few minutes ago. You said that Trump was unhinged. These senators who are banding together in a bipartisan effort, seems like they understand that he's unhinged as well, because there would be no reason for them to make this kind of effort.
A bill.
There would be no reason for them to do that if they didn't see the writing on the wall, if they didn't believe that, like, oh, damn, Trump is getting kind of erratic. Oh, we got to do something. It's going to look really bad if he fires Mueller.
I mean, it's going to look, it would have, like, regardless of whether this bill passed, it would have looked bad. A firing would have looked bad. But now what this does, it provides a deterrent. And now, like, Trump can't just, like, fire Rosenstein or Mueller without there being some sort of eyes looking into why. There's always going to be eyes. There was going to be eyes regardless, but now they're making it like actual. It's taking a legal precedent now. Like if you fired, there's going to be a process where we examine like what were the reasons, the details as to why. So they're trying to scare him. They're trying to scare him into doing the right thing, but Trump is a narcissist and his ego is just bigger than the universe. So
now, see,
I don't know
as to the likelihood that this legislation is actually passed in the Senate. It probably has the best chance of actually passing the Senate with some Republican support. Now in the House, where there are many conservative members and many members that are saying, go ahead and fire him, go ahead, like we want you to fire him, like they're openly saying this, I don't know if it could pass. I don't know if it could pass the House. And then after it, presumably, well, not presumably, but even if it did pass the House, then it would reach the desk of the man himself, President Trump, and he would have to sign legislation that restricts his own abilities. So I don't know. I don't know what the likelihood of this actually going forward is. It doesn't seem like it's good. But again, just the mere fact that they felt it necessary to take this approach tells you something about Donald Trump, the man.
And think about what this means for Republicans, because they're in a very precarious position right now. They're between a rock and a hard place. Do they do the right thing and kind of take the lead in the driver's seat and kind of, I wouldn't say trying to tame Trump, but actually just dissolving this Trump experiment in order to save the party? Or do they go forth and pretty much put another stain on the party for a long time? Like, what do they do? You know what I'm saying? What do they do?
All right.
They're in a rock, between a rock and a hard place right now.
But see,
and even
but not even on this. There was some issues that we covered before this, where it's going to determine like what the life of what the life of the Republican Party is.
Because right
like
now,
what is the message that they're going to be sending out?
But right now, we see from state to state support and like in districts that Trump won, is flipping to Democrats. So again, like
I know
they have to do something, because if Trump stays, the support for the party is going to continue to drop. So they have to do something. They got to save the party.
Rocky road, man. Rocky, like you said, between a rock and a hard place, man. Backed against the wall. They're in a corner. Whatever analogy you want to throw out there, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, man. I don't think they're liking what's on the landscape right now. I don't think they like it. All right, let's just move on. All right, so let's get a Foster. Let's go to Foster. All right, so on Wednesday, this was Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So on Wednesday, President Donald Trump signed the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act of 2017. Now, this was coming for a few weeks. Even we had acknowledged it when we were talking about the whole gun debate after the Parkland shooting. The senators, Mitch McConnell took guns off the schedule, and he talked about the what was next was the banking deregulation bill, and also the sex trafficking thing. So it passed the Senate and the House overwhelmingly, and then on Wednesday, Donald Trump had signed it. So this is some video that was attained by CNN of the moments where President Donald Trump was signing the legislation right here.
We have time. Come on over. The people behind me have been working.
And as you notice in the back, there's a woman, dabbing.
We appreciate it.
So, Mr. President, we have a survivor. This is M.A. She was the first person to sue Backpage in 2010, and she elbowed me and would like to say something.
From Ferguson, Missouri.
Very good.
I am not a survivor. I am M.A. It's about damn time.
All right, so that woman who is only being reported as M.A., she was a sex trafficking survivor. So she was the first one to sue Backpage.com, which is a classified ads website that was long criticized for failing to crack down on sex trafficking on its platform. The DOJ has recently seized the site and 7 people that were associated with the platform were indicted on charges of facilitating prostitution, conspiracy, and money laundering. An investigation done by the Washington Post claims that through their investigation, Backpage.com was not only involved with creating content, but they also solicited prostitutes on other platforms to come and advertise on their own platform. So they had an integral part in producing the content on the website. It wasn't like they would just they just had a space and third parties were posting content and they had no knowledge of anything. No, they had firm knowledge of what was going on and they let it happen, of course, for money. So anyway, the legislation will presumably allow victims to hold websites accountable for knowingly facilitating sex trafficking by cutting into the broad protections websites have had from legal liability from content posted by their users. So in that vein, it's good. Because if you're going to crack down on sex trafficking and this one individual, MA, that was at the signing of the legislation, she was kidnapped and she was sold into prostitution, of course unwillingly, and she got away or whatever. I don't know her whole story, but afterwards she was the first one to sue Backpage.com. So of course, the United States government, senators, the Congress, they felt like they had to do something and hold these platforms responsible for the content that was being, I guess, promoted on their platforms, not just because it's there, but because they know it's there and they don't do anything about it.
I mean, for the women that were here for the signing of this bill, they weren't like prostitutes, right? They were trafficked against their will. So this is not just, I guess, about sex trafficking per se. It's actually about slavery.
Yes,
they were being enslaved. It was just sex. Sex was just the method that they were being exploited. Now, I mean, I think there's like other issues that can come up, but I think that's definitely gonna lead us down a rabbit hole, because now we're getting into sex work, because it's because since sex work is already illegal, that the legitimate sex work kind of got swept up into all this in order to prevent pretty much slavery,
right?
Sex slavery. Like, I understand, me personally, I understand something had to be done about it. But I just wish that they would kind of go forth with some sort of effort after this to maybe not target sites that, offer some sort of third-party advertisement for just sex work in general.
Okay. So let's get into that. So like you're kind of leading into, there are some critics of this legislation, and the critics believe that this legislation was, I guess, crafted too broadly, and it would open up internet platforms to lawsuits because of content that they didn't know was there. So this is from, I believe this is from the Washington Post. Civil liberties advocates attacked the bill as too broad, creating new liability for websites that had previously been protected by the Communications Decency Act for content posted by third parties. A number of websites, including Craigslist, began shutting down sections that might be construed as sex-related after the bill passed the Senate last month. So this is what Craigslist did. So Craigslist, that was accurate information that was posted by the Washington Post. Craigslist, as anybody knows, if you ventured onto Craigslist before, they have personal ads. So depending on what you're looking for, you can put personal ads there. So now when you go onto the website and you click on the personal ad, this is what you're going to see. U.S. Congress just passed H.R. 1865, FOSTA, seeking to subject websites to criminal and civil liability when third parties, users, misuse online personals unlawfully. Any tool or service can be misused. We can't take such risk without jeopardizing all our other services, so we are regretfully taking Craigslist personals offline. Hopefully we can bring them back at some day.
See, now, like you had a question, kind of before the show. We were talking about it, and you said, well, if Craigslist wasn't, I wouldn't say taking part. If Craigslist, knew that there may be some illegal activity as far as sex trafficking going on, then that would be the reason why they started, taking those pages down. But to me, it sounded like they just didn't want to be liable for things that they really couldn't control based on maybe how many employees they have. Again, I looked at some numbers about how many ads kind of just travel through the platform of Craigslist and then how many employees they have. I just don't think that they can actually like realistically track that. You're gonna have some person going through 30,000 different ads a day. I don't think that's gonna happen. I just think they're trying to escape liability, and to me, it says that they probably understand that there may be some illegal activity, but they just don't have the ability to track it. I don't think it's an admittance of guilt. I just think that they don't have the resources to track something like that, and are trying to, like, I guess shy away from any possible liability that might occur from third-party people posting things, when honestly I don't think that they can even keep track of it. And from what I've heard, it's anything that can possibly be related to sex, not just specifically like the personals. Like I've heard of certain like massage therapists posting ads. Can't post ads anymore because, as you know, we know that when people do post sex ads, they don't always like explicitly say sex. Like what you said earlier was about what word do they usually use when they want to solicit a client? Like
they're escorting services.
Yes, and also some also use like massage type language. So a lot of that stuff got taken down too.
Well, okay, so the bill amends 4 parts. Well, the bill amends parts of 4 federal laws. Now, when you read what they amended, like the language that is now there, it's all about prostitution. It's all about sex trafficking. It's all about underage prostitution, sex trafficking, things like that. So when you read that, for the critics that say, you should have, drafted this more broadly, I don't really know how they could have.
Oh, you mean drafted it more?
Or if they drafted it more narrowly. Yeah. I don't know what way they could actually be more narrow, because like I said, like if you look at the particular language they use, it's all about prostitution and sex trafficking. Now, about the prostitution, I think that's what you were talking about, like you're including prostitution and you're including sex trafficking when you're trying to do something about sex trafficking. I understand that what they're doing is that they're taking a position against prostitution because, of course, prostitution is illegal in this country. So if you're selling sex, if you're selling prostitution on a platform and the platform knows about it, then that platform is going to be liable for what is being posted on their website. Now, if you don't know what's going on, I think it's going to be hard for the government to say you did know what was going on.
And that they did use the word, they did use that language in the bill. It
says
they did.
When
sites have knowledge that it's happening.
Right.
So I think, again, that is going to be like a real iffy point right there, because how can you actually prove that the site had knowledge? And it actually might,
with Backpage.com. That was one example, because they were crafting this content.
But see, that's one special case, because they were the ones like helping.
Right.
In instances where they're not helping the third parties, how can they prove that the website knew? Because I think a possible consequence is that there might be some websites that actually forego moderation, because they can say, whoa, we didn't know. That might be the consequence. Some of these sites, they might forego moderation and let things go now, because if the government can't prove that you knew, then that's what I would do if I was a website and I didn't want to involve myself in the minutia of filtering out possible millions of these third-party ads. I'll be like,
well, check it out. Isn't this really similar to Napster and what happened with that music file sharing program? Like, I mean, that app, because
that had to do with copyrighted material, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what, like with these platforms where it was peer to peer networking, and you could just share whatever you wanted. these platforms were like, well, we don't know what's being, shared. We're just setting up this environment for users to connect with one another, and we don't know anything about the material that they're sharing. So they thought that's like, especially with the case of Napster, they thought, okay, well, that relieves us of liability. Well, it didn't, because you knew what was going on. So if they can prove that you know what's going on, or maybe even that you didn't take steps to know what was going on, then yeah, you may be in trouble.
But see, with Napster, it was specific. It was only like one thing that was going on. So Napster couldn't actually like defend themselves by saying, hey, we didn't know what was going on, because Napster was designed
right
for one thing. I think it's different with these sites because all the advertisements are not straightforward, is what I'm saying. Like, obviously, if the advertisement is straightforward, then you can be like, oh, okay, we can't have this here. And obviously, if there's some sort of foreknowledge about a particular third party, yes, there are steps they can take. But if it's very vague and they are not, you can't be quite sure what these third parties are offering. If they're just offering like, complimentary massages or something, and they're advertising certain girls.
See, that's the thing. Like, I don't
offering escorts with certain girls. There's no way to know whether that's legitimate, a legitimate business like a brothel or something.
But see, I don't think this is vague. I don't think the language is vague. It's just these platforms like Craigslist are scared that they may be culpable for what is going on the platform. Again, like if somebody is an escort and they're offering their services through their website or through a website, a platform, whatever like that, I don't think that's going to be a case where the people that are offering it or the website is going to be liable, because as we know, or as most people probably do know, with escorts, you're not selling sex, they're selling companionship. So sex may be on the table, and of course people understand that, but I can pretty much guarantee that these escorts are not proposing to have sex when they meet up with these individuals that are, paying for their services.
Everybody just knows the deal.
Everybody knows the deal, but that would be a hard thing for a government to prove, especially, like I said, these sex workers, which they are sex workers, they're not going to prompt these individuals with sex. They're going to wait for that individual that's paying for these services to prompt them. Now, and then at that point, there's no guilt there. You can't hold a liable for that.
These are just kind of American-based websites, though, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, then. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a bunch of foreign-based websites popping up doing the same thing. And that bill is not going to, you can't enforce that bill on foreign sites. That's my thing.
So now, this is okay. So the executive director of Freedom Network USA, her name is Jean Brugman. She said shutting down every service provider and website will not end sex trafficking. She also said what it will do is push traffickers to overseas websites that are beyond the reach of law enforcement, making it harder to prosecute them and harder to find them through the victims. Now, that's pretty much just what you said, and that is possible. That is very possible, but I don't think that's a reason for the government not to do anything. Like, if there are people being sold on platforms and the government knows about this, they know that these platforms know about it, then yeah, I think it would behoove the government to take a stance against it. How do they create a situation where it doesn't allow foreign companies to step in and do the same thing? Man, that's anybody. I don't know. That's anybody's guess. But I don't think that reality or that likelihood should cause them not to do anything whatsoever.
I think the reason there wouldn't be such opposition to it if sex work wasn't illegal in the first place. We wouldn't even be talking about this. We wouldn't be talking about. There would be the opposition would be far and few if sex work wasn't illegal in the first place, right, and it didn't get swept up in this, because it is, and essentially is going to make it more dangerous.
Right. If it was just going to make it more dangerous
for sex workers, those who choose to do it as a job. Now it opens up the door for them to be exploited, because now they probably have lost their ability to market themselves to people, and now they might have to go back to pimps.
Well, see, this same executive director, Brugman, she also said that this legislation is going to deprive sex workers of a safe place to screen customers, which that may be true as well. But again, like we said, it's illegal in America. So I like nobody's going to be surprised that the government is trying to crack down on prostitution, which is illegal. No, I mean, I'm not surprised at that whatsoever. Now, like you, I'm in opposition here of prostitution being illegal in America. People are adults; they can do whatever the hell they want to do. In other countries, it is legal. I mean, there's no reason. Like, I think the official status of our country is prude. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that people that live here are prudes, but it's like we display that we are based on our laws here. If prostitution was legal, then yeah, you wouldn't have to sweep this up into this whole sex trafficking thing. Now that still would mean that, foreign companies could still, maybe come over and still create a marketplace, and, that would still be something that we would have to do something about. But yeah, the aspect of the prostitution here is just like, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It shouldn't be here, because a person like M.A. that was right there behind the president, she wasn't standing there because she was involved in prostitution. She was standing there.
She was involved in slavery.
Yes, because she was sold. She was sold unwillingly as a prostitute. So I don't know. Maybe there will be something after this legislation, because, like I said, Craigslist is scared right now, and there's gonna have to be something to smooth it over. There's gonna have to be something to where like personal ads are still going to be able to be ran on websites,
Oh, yeah.
Without these platforms being scared that they're going to be attacked by the government. All right. Let's go to Zuckerberg real quick.
Yeah, just real quick.
All right, so we all know about the Mark Zuckerberg Senate hearings, the Facebook Senate hearings, where senators were grilling Zuckerberg on this, this controversy that's about Facebook right now with the what's the company now?
Cambridge
Analytica sweeping up information, and Facebook not doing a damn thing about it, really just telling them to, hey, delete the information and don't do it again, and they didn't do anything else about it. Anyway, so Zuckerberg fielded some questions, but really the whole confirmation, the whole hearing on my end was inconsequential. It really didn't. The only thing that it really revealed is that there's a lot of senators that don't know how to talk technology. That's really all it revealed. I believe it was Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. He said he asked Zuckerberg a question about if Facebook is a monopoly. Zuckerberg responded, "It certainly doesn't feel like that to me," and it prompted some laughs. But Graham, chimed back, and he said that there aren't other social media companies that do the same thing as Facebook. So for somebody that wants another option, there's no other option to fill that void. Like, if they don't want to go to Facebook, then they have no other option. So that's why Facebook is monopoly.
That's not. To me, that's not the definition of monopoly, because somebody else hasn't started a competing platform. I guess Facebook or Zuckerberg, promoting monopoly would be them trying to actively squash any other competing platform. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like people have a choice. People have a choice of what platform they go through. Simply because there's nothing like Facebook only means that there's a company that doesn't want to mimic what Facebook does.
But see, that's reasonable. You see, that's reasonable. Of course, there's not going to be a company like Facebook, because Facebook is going to do their own thing. If you're going to craft a company, if you're going to brand yourself as a social media platform, and you're going to invite users into your experience and offer them, features and benefits, blah, 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 why would you mirror Facebook's platform? If they wanted Facebook, they would go to Facebook. Facebook's already established. So you have Instagram, you have Twitter, you have Snapchat,
and again,
you have many different social media platforms, which they are another option for users. You're not going to find the same thing that Facebook has.
Not
you
like,
shouldn't.
Again, it would make that the term monopoly would make sense if Facebook was formed from like a conglomerate or a collective of other social media platforms into this just big one Megatron.
Right.
But that's not how it happened.
Like one cable company servicing like the whole state.
The whole state.
That's a damn monopoly.
Yeah, and again, it's not like you're. And the thing with that is there's an issue with choice. Right. That's what you're talking about, choice. People have a choice whether to go to Facebook
they have
or not.
Many choices. Facebook is not a monopoly. Also, Senator Ted Cruz, the Republican from Texas, he lamented the idea that conservative pages are being suppressed and they're being censored on Facebook. And he mentioned the Facebook page of Diamond and Silk as being censored. Now, I think on a previous program we mentioned Diamond and Silk's their claim that they are being suppressed on Facebook. Now, did they say they were being censored? I don't know, but they did say that they aren't able to reach like all of their followers, all of their subscribers on Facebook, and they're making a big stink about it. They appeared on Fox News to talk about it, and they said that Facebook had been in communication with them for, I guess, several months, and then the last communication that they got from Facebook said that their content is dangerous, and then that was it. There was nothing else to it. That was like a final decision. So, but my problem is with the category of censoring. The categorization of censoring is Diamond and Silk being censored. They have on Facebook, their page, I think they have about 1.4. I think it's like 1.4 million subscribers.
It's actually almost 1.5 million.
Almost 1.5 million subscribers on Facebook.
And look at that.
Oh yeah,
I saw like 2,000 reactions.
No doubt. I saw a lot of these videos.
22,000.
Yes,
reactions.
I saw a lot of these videos where there were hundreds of thousands of views,
21,000,
thousands of shares,
400,000 views. So they're actually reaching half.
Yes,
they're reaching half of their audience, which is better than most Facebook pages.
No. Look, there was one post, right, that I can't remember the exact amount of views that it had. I think it had maybe it was like 112,000 views or something like that. So I did a little math here, right, and I came out to be okay. So the amount of views that they had compared to the amount of subscribers on their page seems like they reached about 8%. Just, about 8% of their subscribers. So I was like, okay, 8% of your subscribers. Okay.
You're talking about just off of reactions.
No, I'm just talking about views on a video. I'm just talking about views on a video, okay? So these views, about 112,000, and then if you did the math, it was about 8% of their followers, of their subscribers they were reaching. Okay.
You're being generous, dog. You're being generous.
Oh, yeah, I know, that was just one.
That was just one. Oh, you picked like the lowest one.
No, I just scrolled down a little bit. I saw one. I picked it up. Like, okay, let me see that one, okay?
Go ahead.
I know there's a lot more, right? Yeah. But anyway, so that's 8% of their subscribers, right? Now, take any one of our posts, right? The live videos that we do on Facebook for, the first part of the show that lasts about 30, 40 minutes, something like that. Usually we get about 300, 400 views, something like that on Facebook. And we have about 69,000 subscribers on Facebook. So I did the math. That's about 0.5% of our subscribers. And they're complaining about being censored.
And honestly,
Ted Cruz is complaining about Diamond and Silk being censored when they're reaching 8%.
That's like
we can reach 0.5%.
That was a bad example to use for Diamond and Silk. And Will took probably the lowest one he saw. Like, I'm scrolling through this right now, and I saw one that had 2 million views. Now they only have but they have 1.5 million. So it was actually more than what their follow count is. Also, most of the videos I see, their views are 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, 700,000, 400,000, 500,000, 400,000, 400,000, 470,000, 500,000. So they're actually reaching at least 30% of their audience every single time as far as their viewership for whatever videos they post. So if they call that censorship, then like we are in like jail.
Exactly.
We're literally.
Exactly. So you know what? And you know what? I had this image. You know, let me see if I can bring it up real quick, because I wanted people to see this, but I don't know if I have it on this computer. Let me just take 1 minute here. Is it on here? Screenshot. Is that it right there? Yeah, here it is right here. Okay. All right. So take a look at this. Okay. So, you know what? Okay, let me move it up a little bit. Bam. Okay. Yeah. Right there. All right. So right there, this is our Facebook page, and I took this screen capture. Okay, now this was a recent post. If anybody here is watching the program, but wasn't on the last program, we mentioned how we did create the LTMB store, the merchandising store, where you can get some LTMB gear, right? So I put that post on Facebook. Was like, hey, yeah, everybody, check it out. Check out the new store. Get some LTMB gear, right? If you notice at the bottom, it says it reached 543 people. If you notice at the right-hand column, 68,000 people subscribe to our page. Okay? It's about 69,000. But, okay, let's just say 68,000. You telling me we can only reach about 500 people of that 69,000? But Diamond and Silk are being
promoted by Facebook, and while at the same time
being censored,
claim they're being censored. That is like the epitome of the conservative mindset.
Exactly.
Like, you're doing better than everyone else, but you're still claiming to be censored. Like you can't even get out of the victim mentality when you're not. It's clear you're not actually a victim.
Not even a victim, man. So yeah, Diamond Silk are not being censored. It's hard to even claim that they're being suppressed at this point. It's total garbage. Anyway, all right. Let's go to this. Let's go to DeVos for a minute, man. All right. So we've reported several times on the Oklahoma strike, the teacher strike that's happening in Oklahoma, where public schools are closed because teachers are striking for better wages, better benefits, and better funding for their schools. I believe it's how much, like 20% of the state are on 20% of the schools in the state are on a 4-day schedule,
so they don't have school on Friday.
Yeah, they haven't had a pay raise since 2008, so that's about a decade. Even though was it last week or the week prior? Recently, the governor Mary Fallon signed a bill into legislation that would raise their wages, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and so they want more. And they intend to get more. They intend to hold out until they get more. So the U.S. Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, decided to weigh in on this issue. Following her tour of a Dallas middle school on Thursday, she was asked her thoughts about the strike in Oklahoma. And she said, quote, "I think about the kids. I think we need to stay focused on what's right for kids. And I hope that adults would keep adult disagreements and disputes in a separate place and serve the students that are there to be served."
Oh my gosh, her mentality is mind numbing. Does she think that these petitions in the form of protest came out of nowhere? You see what I'm saying? Like, most of these particular battles have been fought behind closed doors and out of the public eye, right? Like, the reasons why these battles have become so public and have metastasized into these protests is because their needs haven't been met for 10 plus years. So it's not like these things have not been, continually argued over a decade and argued in a very diplomatic way on the part of teachers.
But as she noted, so we have to take count of what she noted. Her focus is the kids. You got to think about kids. You keep adult disagreements away from the cheering.
What does that even mean?
Adult disagreement. Because, hey, these teachers are striking for more money. That doesn't have anything to do with the kids. So I like to combat that idea, because she also said, I think we need to stay focused on what's right for kids. So you think what's right for kids is a 4-day-a-week schedule? Mm-hmm. You think broken down books, outdated books, all busted up and choppy books are what's best for kids? You think broken furniture is what's best for kids? Broken desks and leaky ceilings are what's good for children? You
mentioned the books. Some of these schools don't even have enough of those tattered books to even pass around.
You think class sizes 40, 45 students per class? You think that's what's best for kids?
What about air conditioning and heating?
No doubt. Some of these kids are freezing in class. You think that's what's best? So
those are actually issues the teachers have brought up.
Exactly.
That pertain to the students.
It's not just about better pay for teachers. It's not like what Governor Mary Fallin said, and it's like she equated this to kids that just want a better car, teenager that just wants a better car. No. These teachers understand that, yes, they have been dramatically overpaid for years and years and years. But not only that, their schools are so poorly funded that there has to be something done about it. Because what the government of Oklahoma has done, well, they have met the needs and wishes of big business in Oklahoma, but they have failed to meet the wishes of schools in Oklahoma. They will pass that buck every single time and be like, well, we don't have the money. We don't got the money. We don't got the money. But hey, big business, here's another tax break for you. Go ahead and decimate the economy some more.
I mean, to me, it's simple. Students are served when, teachers are provided with an adequate teaching environment. That's how students are served. But DeVos was the same person that wanted to reduce lunch, I think. And she the same person that wanted to cut reduced lunch, that served students, that served underserved students. You know what I'm saying?
Children in need.
Children in need. She wanted to just do away with that, but she has a nerve to talk about serving students. But does she even understand that you have to provide kind of a stable environment, kind of a stable workforce in order to serve those students?
Exactly. She doesn't understand that. So that's why she has very it's like trivial things to say about these teachers and about the strike. She said similar things about the strike in West Virginia as well. Now, mind you that if we remember what happened in West Virginia and the teachers were out for, I think they were out for 9 or 10 days. The students that were, like you're talking about, these underserved students that, they need help. They need extra help, right? Help. A lot of these students are on free lunch, right? And some of these students, that's really their only meal of the day is at school, breakfast and lunch. So these teachers in West Virginia understood that. What did they do? Understanding that, they would take lunch to the kids' houses, or they would organize some meeting place so that they could go there and give some food to these kids that are so desperately in need. In Oklahoma's case, this is the wherewithal of these teachers, right? So the kids are missing these teachers. So some of these teachers are setting up play dates with the kids, and they're teaching them in the process as well. Oh, these teenagers that want just a better car, man. Yeah, that's what these teachers are like, Mary Fallin. That's exactly what's going on. It's unbelievable, man. I can't believe the voice ever even came out her mouth, man. Just shut up, man.
But like I said, it came out of her mouth, and she felt that pain afterwards, though, because they showed enough troll Fallon afterwards with the dangling them keys.
Yeah, I'm talking about divorce. Like, why are you? Shut up. Just don't talk.
I don't know, but see, who's worse though? They both remind me of each other.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do, and they both need to be silent. Because you don't have anything constructive to add to this conversation.
She just has not even. It's not even about the experience. The experience she doesn't have. She doesn't have just any awareness as to what teachers' jobs are and what they go through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She just
nothing, man. She's a nothing, man. Nothing burger. She's a weak sauce.
She's a bubblehead, dog. She's a bubble Barbie, man.
What I think I called her. Did I call her a dingbat one time?
Yes, you
I
did.
think I called her a dingbat.
Call her a dingbat. Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
That's right. After that interview on 60 Minutes, right? I think that's what
that Palin-esque interview on 60 Minutes.
That's right. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Corker. All right. All right. So Senator Bob Corker is retiring. He's not seeking re-election in 2018. When it came time for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act just a few months ago, initially Corker was on the opposition to it. He said he made several statements that he realized that what it would do would add too much to the federal deficit, and so that he couldn't be in support of it whatsoever. Now, when it came time to vote on it, he voted yes. He voted yes. So now, months later, Bob Corker is reflecting on his vote, and he's kind of changing his tune. So he said, quote, "If it ends up costing what has been laid out here, it could well be one of the worst votes I've made." He also said, "I hope that it's not the case. I hope there's other data to assist, whether it's jobs or growth or whatever." So he's like wishing on a star, man. He's like, please just don't be as devastating as what they said it was gonna be. Please. I don't want to look that bad. Because, see, this is all in response to the new CBO estimate that said it's actually going to cost $1.9 trillion over 10 years. Or no. You know what? Hold on. I misspoke. The new Congressional Budget Office's figure is that it will add $1.9 trillion to the federal deficit over 10 years. Because the cost is actually much more, but it's going to add $1.9 trillion over the next 10 years. And actually, by 2020, it will hit $1 trillion just by 2020, which is less than 2 years away. So Corker is feeling, I guess, a little guilty, you could say.
I don't care. I'm pretty much throwing his little weak sauce hindsight apology straight in the dumpster, straight in the garbage dumpster. It's real, because I mean, like he held out, right? He held out for the round. He held out for the first round.
He did.
So why did he have a change of heart? Was the issues that he had in the first round resolved? Were they resolved?
No,
they weren't resolved. So now he's trying to like feign like ignorance, or he's trying to like feign outrage, feign ignorance, and feign like this kind of, I don't know. He's like kind of adopting this kind of obtuse like view of the tax bill as if he didn't know what he was doing, and now he's trying to make it out to be like he's mourning the passing of the bill. Mm-hmm. Like, nah, man. And again, wait a second. He's not running, is he?
He's not running for re-election.
He's not running for re-election.
So what are you saying, Mike? What are you saying, Mike? What are you saying? What are you saying, Mike?
It doesn't seem like he has to worry about his record anymore.
So it's safe for him to tell the truth.
It's safe for him to tell the truth. Not only is it safe for him to tell the truth, it was safe for him to vote for this bill and not face any consequences.
But on the other hand, again, he initially said that he saw problems with it because it was going to add too much to the federal deficit. So if you saw that, then it would have been safe for you to vote no and reject this bill. Because you weren't running for re-election. All your other Republican cohorts were like, yeah, we're voting for it. This is great. But you understood the reality of the situation. So why did you cave in?
Because he caved. Because he, there was not going to be any consequences to him caving. Because essentially he doesn't have to worry about it electorally. And like, honestly, he had an opportunity to look like a good guy here. Because think about it. Because this is the way I see it. Like, his single vote wouldn't have changed the outcome, right? So he could have just voted the right way and it would have still passed. And like that last action before he retired would have, like, I guess, I guess put some sort of gold star on his legacy at least, because like I said, his one vote wouldn't have changed the outcome, but at least he could have looked like the good guy. But I'm also thinking that maybe you remember how Paul Ryan got a little windfall after the tax bill passed. It was a lollipop in the form of $500,000, right?
Looks like it's a golden parachute now.
Yeah, it's a golden parachute. So
that's what it looks like now.
So, like, couldn't it be the same thing for Corker? He's retiring. He did his. He voted. Well, he voted the wrong way, but he voted in favor of corporate tax cuts, a corporate giveaway, corporate welfare. He voted in favor of that. So, do you think he might be looking for that same type of congratulatory lollipop when he retires? You see what I'm saying?
Certainly good wisdom to say that.
I'm just saying, like, again, what other reason would he have to flip on the second round? What other reason would he have to flip if he knew, like,
especially when he was public, noting the troubles of the passage of this bill?
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a job well done lollipop in the form of a lobbying position.
So he understand how devastating it was going to be. He voted for it anyway, and then months later he's like, "Damn, it's really going to be bad." Sorry.
You see. Nah, when you say it like that, you see, it's easier to see how ridiculous it is. Because is sorry really enough? How is sorry enough? Like somebody just come up to you and just like, if you were laying down on the beach and somebody just like walk up to you and just put on their pants and just shit it on your face, would sorry be enough?
Sorry, I did see you there.
I did see you there,
but I did it anyway, and damn, I didn't know it was gonna be as bad as it was.
Sorry, would sorry be enough for you? That tax bill, that's what the tax bill did. It literally shit it in our face.
Oh my god! Yeah, man.
Like it's not rocket surgery. I mean, when you give the uber wealthy who are already wealthy more money, it's just going to sit in the bank and act as like a blood clot on the economy.
That's why you can't take these.
So like, it's not rocket surgery. So you just not like he was like, oh my god, what happened?
That's what I'm saying. That's why you can't take the word of these politicians, man, because they screw you over every time, man. He understood the problems with the passage of that bill. He understood it very well. He noted them in public. Yet he voted for him anyway. So did Rand Paul. Rand Paul,
the fiscal conservative.
The fiscal conservative. But now he's going to be tied to this bill that is going to add $1.9 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. Fiscal conservatives. All right, let's do one more. Let's do the Boehner one.
Yeah,
this one's gonna take too long.
Yeah, because we covered Ryan, who is retiring. We covered Corker, who is retiring as well. So I think it's appropriate we cover the third.
Third one. All right. So, former Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner retired from Congress in 2015, and is now a cannabis lobbyist. A cannabis lobbyist. You heard me right.
What?
Yeah. John Boehner, Republican, staunch opponent of cannabis, staunch opponent of the legalization of marijuana, is now a cannabis lobbyist.
Is this a belated April Fool's joke?
No, this is the real thing.
This can't be. This has got to be a belated April Fool's joke.
No, this is the real thing. He claims that he has evolved. So this is a quote from Boehner. He says, quote, "Over the last 10 or 15 years, the American people's attitudes have changed dramatically. I find myself in that same position." He also said, this was on Twitter, "I'm joining the board of Acreage Holdings because my thinking on cannabis has evolved. I'm convinced descheduling the drug is needed so we can do research, help our veterans, and reverse the opioid epidemic ravaging our communities." What a nice guy. What a nice guy, man.
That's just like, okay, like, what is...
He's still a public servant. I messed you all up.
I'm joining the board of Acreage Holdings to asterisk make money.
Yeah.
Like his position evolved as soon as that Acreage Holdings check came in the mail. As soon as he was like, damn.
Yeah.
I feel an evolution.
So while
I feel it. Oh, man, like it's amazing how your position can evolve.
How quick
it can just by getting a big ass check.
So while he was in Congress, he had no financial motive to be in support of the legalization of marijuana. But outside of Congress, he gets a cushy job being a lobbyist for cannabis. Again, he's going to be paid for this. And all of a sudden, the man has evolved. Look at that.
See, public perception is changing, so these rich, wealthy men, they want to cash in. That's all it's about. Corporation, big pharma, they just want to cash in on public perception, really. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to be scooping up massive amounts of profits, while at the same time, there's going to be people just rotting in jail for usage and possession.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
because laws haven't changed.
Yeah, laws haven't changed. I mean, the thing is, to me, if he was like really about that life, what would he do, Will?
He would probably advocate for like sentences to be just stricken off the record.
Stricken off the record, like, and records expunged. People who are in jail for possession or usage should be released, especially if that was their only charge.
Yeah. If he was about that life.
If he was about that life. But he's about that.
Yeah, he's about that paid life. He's about that paid life. This is a man. This is a man that I believe this was about almost a decade ago. I believe he said that he was, quote, unalterably opposed to the legalization of marijuana.
Yeah, there was an advocacy group that was like pretty much directly addressed him and was like, that pretty much tried to get it legalized, and it was like it was in either 2001 or something, and he like pretty much wrote a letter to them. It's like, nah, it's a danger. It leads to the addiction to other drugs, including alcohol. Gateway drugs. It should be remain a Schedule I drug. So I'm sorry, it still should be legal. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what his response was, or from his office at least.
But you know what? I think I solved the mystery of why he's evolved. You know what? We don't want to put money. Come on, man. That's too much, man. Because we don't know the man. It's not about that corruption. It's not like about the financial motive. You remember Boehner was a guy that liked to cry, right? Yes. So maybe he just needs to chill out a little bit, get his emotions in check, smoke a little bud, a little reefer, a little weed.
So it's like it's there. It's
chill his behind down.
Help him to cope.
Yeah, man. Like, cause he won't be crying all the time if he, just like I said, gets a little high from time to time. But you know what, man? How much you want to make it? Well, there's no way to tell this, but I would not be surprised if Boehner was always supportive of cannabis. I would not be surprised whatsoever. Again, did he have any motive, any financial motive, any political motive to be in support of cannabis as a Republican? Did he have that motive? No. But outside of politics, he does.
He does. He actually had a motive to be against it in and out of politics, since he was one of the tobacco industry's favorite lackeys. The tobacco and alcohol industry.
Right. Yeah. After he left Congress, I believe in 2016, he was a lobbyist for a very big lobbying firm for tobacco.
But see, tobacco is dead. Tobacco is dead. Weed is the up and coming superstar. You know what I'm saying? What, dog? Tobacco. Weed is that dude. That gas is like
it's taking the place of tobacco,
man. So that's what he recognizes, that, man. So I mean, he's just jumping off of one train onto another.
And get money.
Get money.
And this was the most ridiculous story, man. Like, really? John Boehner, for real? He's advocating for marijuana? John Boehner? Man, these mugs, man.
These mugs got some nerve, dog.
They got some, oh my gosh, man. All right. So that is the end of a very long program. Damn, I don't know how many stories we covered. Probably 11 stories. I think we covered 12, maybe something like that. I don't, because the Facebook one too. So I think that was, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I was excited about it, man, because like I said, we had a lot to cover and we had a lot to say about these different topics, and we hope that you enjoyed listening. We hope that we may have educated some people. We hope that maybe we planted some seeds, and maybe you have some other ideas. Maybe we didn't go in certain some other places that you would have gone.
That's the thing. Sometimes, like, when we do a show, we don't actually get to talk about everything we wanted to because we have to move on to the next story. So sometimes we need y'all to fill in the blanks, and y'all might fill in the blanks where we intended to provide some sort of commentary, just that we had to cut it off. You know what I'm saying? So
no doubt. So we are going to open it up for callers. Hold on, let me, because last time. Let me put yours on first.
Yeah, because it's like there's going to be a lot more going on with that Zuckerberg thing, man.
Yeah, there is.
Because he's like, I don't even understand what the idea behind him resigning. Like, what the it's a corporation. They can't force him to resign.
Why would he do that? That'd be stupid, man. That'd be dumb. He's not gonna resign, man.
But they now he did say something about reform efforts that were kind of troubling to me.
Yeah, well, because he was being asked about, should Facebook be regulated?
Yeah, and so he's trying to keep that from happening. So he's like, I guess, trying to get in front of that. And what he said it's on. I heard my going. So what he said he was going to do was give a committee of senior academics access to data. Those experts, those committee of experts, and their research grants will be funded by independent foundations, apparently. And they're going to, like, I guess, track social media to see how and study how our democracy is being affected. And the list of foundations I saw were like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Like the Charles Koch Foundation, dog, and the Hewlett Foundation. Yeah,
I saw the Koch, the Koch
I was
Brothers
like,
Foundation.
okay,
I was like, man, that's that.
Let's hand over all the data and give them the ability to, I don't know, like create some sort of, I don't know, like create some sort of, I guess, spectrum analysis as to people's activities and how they affect democracy. I just won't trust that. I will not trust that.
All right. Can anybody hear that music? Because I want to... Oh, my bad. Because it seems like we don't have to do a certain step that we might need to do if you can hear that music. Because that'll mean that you will be able to hear the callers. Huh, they hear the music. But that means that we don't have to.
No, it means we don't have to, and the next show is gonna mean we have to. You know how it goes.
So we got a caller waiting. We got Ken waiting. We're gonna see if you can hear Ken. Ken, you there? Can you hear us? Oh, hold on.
Yes,
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah,
let's see about the crowd.
Let's see if they can hear you.
So everybody or somebody, let us know if you can hear.
Can you hear Ken? Somebody let us know that if you can hear the caller. Can't hear him.
So yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah, well, maybe we do have to.
So maybe not for us, but we have to do it for the caller.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna have to do it for the
caller. All right. So hold on, just once. All right. It seems like we should be good now. All right. Ken, say something.
How about now?
All right. Can everybody hear Ken now? All right.
Yeah.
All right. They can hear you now. All right. What's going on, Ken?
Man, I leave you guys. You'd let me down. You agree with Tucker Carlson on Fox News.
Nah, dog. I didn't agree with Tucker Carlson. He did.
No, you agreed with Tommy Loren.
Oh, shit. I didn't. And since you mentioned it before, you also agree with Sarah Palin.
Oh man.
Yep. She came out on Breitbart, I think it was, and she was like, "No, we definitely shouldn't be going into Syria. We can't sacrifice our brave boys and girls."
So you called to depress us.
Yeah,
that's what you called to do. to get us in a very depressing mood. Yeah.
I call for two things. I was also like as far as like the UK goes, majority believe that Syria did do it. But when you look into it, that's mostly old people. Younger people are split 50-50 on don't know and others, and we agree. But a majority of them flipping that also do not want conflict in Syria.
Well,
honestly, I just think that all those conservative voices are against it because they're trying to kind of like, they don't want to look like hypocrites. They're not doing it for like, I guess, purposes of integrity or not promoting our, I guess, hegemonic state that we have right now. I think they're just doing it because they know Trump has like been vocal about, now this is before he became president. He was like on this tweet storm where there was like 15 to 20 tweets where he was talking about not going into Syria and what it would cause, and Obama's a dummy, and we shouldn't telegraph what we're going to do. So all those tweets definitely are making him look like a massive hypocrite, and I do think those conservative voices are aware of those tweets, and I think they're just trying to jump ahead of it. I just don't trust them. I just don't trust them being like, I guess, consistent.
But it's not. But it's not surprising though, because the last time that something like this happened with the Syrian government and the chemical attack, there was nobody in other countries as well that was like, well, we have our doubts. No, they all were like, yeah, Syria did it. I don't think there was any pushback. The pushback came from people. I heard a lot of, well, I heard certain voices that actually went there and was like, well, we're not really seeing any evidence that, Assad actually did this, or any evidence that actually even happened. So to say that
these are the same people, these same people that will say we shouldn't go into Syria, both Tucker Carlson, Sarah Palin, and Tom Loren, they'll have a different position on Iran. You see what I'm saying? That's why it's not very principled. It's not very balanced. You know what I'm saying? That's all. That's all. I
think they fear Russia.
My two angles on that one are basically like, either they're Fox News and they think, okay, we can influence the president, he listens to us, or if I'm feeling more conspiratorial about it, they're putting it out there so that people can then point at like you when you say, oh, I don't believe in like the thing of going into Syria, and go, oh, well, you agree with Fox News then, do you?
I think probably one, the first one is probably the best, I guess, conclusion. I think the first thing you mentioned about them trying to send a message to Donald Trump, because they know, I think by now, if they don't know, which they've always known, that Trump watches Fox, and that's where he gets a lot of his talking points, because you can actually track it. I think that's a kind of a good theory you got. I don't know about the second one.
No, the second one was mostly joking.
Yeah, the second one was joking. I'm not gonna say it doesn't have any meat. There's a little meat there. I wouldn't put it past them, but the first one has a lot of meat on it, man. There's a lot of meat on that bone.
The second point I was going to make before it totally slips out of my mind is, you mentioned John Boner and yes, I'm calling him Boner.
Yeah, I thought I was like, hold on, did he get it wrong there? No, but okay, that was intentional.
That's how the name is spelled. Come on, man. But the reason he's probably for marijuana now is he has got shares in one of the largest marijuana companies in the US.
But he evolved. His I guess his financial leanings evolved.
He evolved on the green when he got the green.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
His yes.
Yeah. Boehner is
It's a monetary evolution. It's a monetary evolution.
Boehner is man, I don't know if I can. Boehner is something else.
No,
man.
now we gotta call him Boner because of Kim.
Boner. Like, damn, what was that? What was that? Growing Pains? Boner? Was that Boner? Was
that Growing Pains?
I think that was Growing Pains, man. That's showing our age.
I know you're talking about,
the damn neighbor or something. Anyway.
TGI Fridays.
Yeah, man. All right, appreciate you calling in, Kim, man.
Thanks for the laughs too, bro.
No problem. Good times.
All right, you take it easy this weekend. All right, we got another caller, 443 area code. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Court.
What's going on, Court? Regular caller to LTMB Live.
Yeah, man. Love your show. You guys know it. Don't even have to go into it. I got 2 points about Syria and about the foster sex trafficking bill. So the first point about Syria, I understand Ken's point about, can you guys hear me? Because I know my phone breaks up a lot.
No, we got you good. Yeah, we got you good.
Okay, so I understand Ken's point about Fox News, and I even kind of understand his point about the conspiratorial thing. But here's my idea. Here's my theory. Okay, hypothesis, if you will. It's Putin. Putin did it, right? And the reason why Putin did it is because Russia wants their pound of flesh for 1992, right? That's why they put Trump in office, or not put him in office, but they really helped him get in office. They want their pound of flesh. Now, here's what I think it is. If Trump retaliates, right, Putin will attack back, and it won't be like Iraq, and it won't be like Afghanistan, because we won't enjoy air superiority. And since we won't enjoy air superiority, we will get hurt. Might not get beat, but we will get hurt, right? And then Trump looks bad. If Trump does nothing, right? If Trump just says, you know what? I'm going to sit back and I'm just going to let this one play out. He looks weak. He's in a Machiavellian trap. Trump is in a Machiavellian trap. He's too stupid to realize it. But if he does anything and Russia retaliates, he's going to look bad. And if he does nothing, he's going to look bad. And as for the sex trafficking bill, the my thing about like the puritanical roots of American society is what kills our whole. It's what's killed our family structures. It's what killed any kind of like healthy sexual conversation that we could ever have in this country. Like we cannot. People think about in this country when people think about sex, they think one of two things: property or dirty. If you do it right, you're property, right? You've become married and now you're property, right? If you do it wrong, you're dirty. You sleep with anybody you want to, you have no rules, you're dirty, right? That's why we can't come up with a sex trafficking law that protects the weak and the vulnerable and yet allows people who just happen to like sex and they can make $1 off of it, to do their thing, right? I mean, if you really wanted to stop you can talk about disease and you can talk about unwanted pregnancy, but those things with modern technology are quite easy to mitigate. We all know it, and nobody's stupid. We're all adults here. We get it. Wrap it before you smack it, right? But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, it's not about protecting the weak and the vulnerable. It's about upholding the status quo. If you want to have sex, you either need to sign your rights away, especially for women, right? I mean, for men, it's kind of that way too, but it's especially that way for women, right? Or you just be a dirtball and everybody know your business. So that's my two comments.
Those are I guess that's the area where I guess we both agree on the passage of that bill, the prostitution angle. The sex trafficking, I think everybody understands that like something needs to be done on that front. But to include prostitution, it just showcases what America is really about, and it's about being a prude country when it comes to sex. we don't have to do that. Like, there's no reason for us to do that because people can be people. Just get out of the way of their life. I mean, just let them do what they want to do. Sex is not dirty. Sex is natural for people. The way we view it, like the way we view it as a country, though, is just so troublesome. There's no reason to add the prostitution angle into this bill. When you do that, that's when, you know, companies like Craigslist and other companies, they're going to be shutting down their personal ads and like, man, I don't know if we can do this anymore because we might get in trouble for this now, you know? So it's just a bad precedent to set, man.
And I do think,
you know, it makes me think, you know, Will, it makes me think, it kind of reminds me of the war on drugs. It kind of reminds me of the war on drugs. Like, if you really wanted to protect people and you really wanted to help people, then you could get your drugs and they wouldn't be tainted. And they wouldn't hurt you or make you overdose, and you could go do your thing, and nobody would care. But that's not what we want. That is not what we want. We want control, and we want power.
That's, you know, it's funny when I was reading the story about the passing of the bill. That's exactly what I thought about. I thought it was like a war on sex, and I do think the inclusion of kind of sweeping up the kind of the legal prostitution. Well, it's not legal, but sweeping up the prostitution in it, to me, I think it relates back to the primary bastion of, I want to say, misogyny and patriarchy, in that it's still an attempt to control what a woman does with her body. I think that's why, you know, that's the basis of why prostitution is illegal in the first place. And as far as like America being like a puritanical society, I think we have this false impression. I know it seems backwards, but when people are judging commercials and people are judging what's in television shows and what's in the movies and how over sexualized it is, I actually think, honestly, it's an illusion. I actually don't think we live in an over-sexualized society. I think we live in a sexually repressed society. That's why that's why it's necessary for all these advertisers, including people who create commercials and movies and television shows, to rely on innuendo. And sometimes it's blatant. Most of the time it's innuendo. Or like, I remember the Burger King commercial, maybe you remember it too, with Paris Hilton, where she was rolling on the top of a fucking car with a bunch of suds eating grease. A burger. It was a beef burger. I was like, what the heck? Because a sexually repressed society has to rely on like these moments, like where it's like out, like it's momentarily out in the open, but yet at the same time we put parental advisory things on stuff. We put all this obvious sex stuff out in the open momentarily, then we say like, oh no, this one thing is not appropriate for the children. Like, I think that our sexual repression like makes it necessary for us to like momentarily be sexual to like sell stuff or to get attention. It wouldn't be like that if we weren't sexually repressed, and it wouldn't be as extreme. The reason why we see these extreme moments of where it's just like sex is because we've like suppressed it down. Now, the first thing you mentioned about Trump and Putin, when you were kind of piggybacking off of kind of Ken's conspiracy, I don't want to like not give that enough. I don't want to give that, I guess, too much doubt. I want to give that credit because I think there's something there. And I think the narrative behind Trump and Putin surrounds them being like I guess Putin like wanting Trump there because of some sort of favors Trump could do for him and them working together, when I think there's more teeth to kind of your angle in that Putin doesn't respect Trump and Putin is just using Trump. And at the end of the day, he's just using Trump to get at America. So the narrative behind Trump's and Putin's relationship, I think, is an incorrect one, and it doesn't surround them being best buds and working together. I think it surrounds just Putin using Trump and using his gullibility and his weaknesses to maybe put America in a bad position. So,
well, we appreciate your call, Court, and definitely appreciate you bringing up the angle about the war on sex, man, because that's something that we didn't discuss it like that, but it's definitely appropriate. I was just thinking in my head about you remember at the Super Bowl and Janet Jackson, the whole wardrobe malfunction thing and how big of a issue it was. And it shouldn't have been. I mean, yeah, a nipple was exposed for a second, something like that, maybe
and
2
they just
seconds,
cut away.
And they cut away from it.
And most
it really shouldn't have been made into the thing that it was.
Most people didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
We didn't see it. We were watching the Super Bowl on a big screen, like 100 by 100.
No, we didn't hear about it until the next morning. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it shouldn't have been. But again, like you said, the sexually repressive country that we live in, it's like you have to be flash sexed, but when you're flash sex, it's deemed inappropriate, is deemed wrong.
But then they'll put it heavily in the midst of like the different commercials. Not just that. Remember the one where you had the 2 girls and like the cowboy, and they were locking arms and they're eating the burger, and the barbecue sauce was dripping all over them, which is supposed to like represent semen. You know that's what it was. And so I'm like, we put it out there like that, knowing good and well that that's what it is, and then act all like we're good people, or we're very clean and good people. Puritanical. It just doesn't make sense.
Very moral people. We can't be about that kind of lifestyle, man. Not in this country. Anyway, all right. So we got one more caller, and then we're gonna wrap it up. 830 area code caller. You're on the air with LTMB Live. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's me, Taylor from New Braunfels, Texas.
Tay Ray.
What's going on, Taylor? What you got for us?
Hey. I also watched this good video from the Rational National, who's done by David Doolittle. Like, he's from Canada, but it's also like another like kind of like progressive like independent news media on YouTube, and he pretty much pinned out good points of the reason why Paul Ryan is resigning. And the video is called "Paul Ryan's Retiring," and it's not for his family. And apparently it's just, I think it just comes down, Paul Ryan is scared that he's not going to win, because of him getting that big, huge, tax cut bill, passed, who he was mostly behind. And also for Randy Bryce, who's, trying to run for that
stash.
Yeah, the guy with the big mustache. Apparently he even put out a tweet that he's like raising more money than Paul Ryan. He's not even taking any PAC money, which is really great. So, and the fact that, Trump's popularity is dropping, just like how he's pretty much, how you just said, like the pain is coming. And I mean, I think, that's just pretty much why he rather resign than to lose. That's pretty much, I think, the reason why.
See, with Paul Ryan, man, and like with any other politician, man, you got to be skeptical about what comes out of their mouth. We heard Paul Ryan on that video saying, hey, I got a young family. All of them are teenagers now, and I don't want to be known as the weekend dad all throughout their teenage years. And yeah, it sounds like it's believable. I'm sure that there's a little part of him that really believes that too. It's like, yeah, I think it would be good to be close to home. But you really think that he would give up his spot as Speaker of the House if something else wasn't going on? It's really just for family? Nah, I'm sorry, man. He's been at that job, for 20 years now? He's been in Congress for 20 years, and now all of a sudden he's like, let's I've done enough. We got the tax bill passed. I think I'm gonna call it a career. Please, man. He's gonna surface sometime soon, within the next 1 to 2 years, something like that. He's gonna be back in DC doing something. Maybe he might run for president again.
Yeah, and just like how he tried to run for vice president. With Mitt Romney.
Exactly. It's just a show, man. It's just a show. I don't believe it.
But yeah, it's a really good video. You all should watch it. Rational National.
National.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, it's like a YouTube channel, and his latest videos about Paul Ryan. So yeah, he pinned it out really great, and he even showed tweets of like what even journalists said about Paul Ryan, just like how much he's like just the worst, just out of the worst lot of the Republicans, and he's the one who really pushed for that bill to get passed. So it's just, he pretty much knows he's done for this point as long as Trump's president. So.
the Wisconsin politicians, man, running scared, just like the governor, Scott Walker, man. They see what's coming, man. And of course, like, you know, we're not Democrats. We don't like support the Democratic Party as like a whole, like as an institution. But I guess, you know, we do have to, I guess, admit that they're closer to our ideology than Republicans. And
right.
You know, it's just that the country for a while now, for a very long time, has been moving left. Now it hasn't, you know, shown up in local governments or state governments or even, you know, like I said, the federal government either. But I think as a people, we are getting more progressive, and it looks like that's transitioning or that's translating into the government in Wisconsin, which is just a bad sign for somebody like Paul Ryan. So
yeah,
I think he
especially
sees the writing on the wall.
It's the swing state too. Yeah.
So, good riddance to him, like I said.
Yeah.
But he'll be back.
You know, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, he'll still have a lot of influence, unfortunately, towards other Republicans. But at least we don't have to see him anymore. So.
Right. All right, Taylor. Thank you for calling in again, man. Good to hear you.
All right. Y'all too. Keep it up. Bye.
All right, man. You have a good weekend. All right. We want to give a special shout out to some new patrons that we have on patreon.com. Let's see. We have June Voles, who is always in the stream, I believe. I always see her commenting on the stream. I think she's in the stream right now. Thank you, June, for becoming a patron, you know, for us and contributing to the program. We appreciate it very much, very, very much. We are in the process of making some updates, hopefully to the software soon, hopefully very soon, so that it will be more of a seamless process. Hopefully even graphically, you know, maybe we can add something graphically and we can stream to other platforms as well. So that's something that we're looking forward to. Yeah, June is here. Thank you again, June. And also we have, let me see. Yeah, we have Nathan Wenzel, who I don't think is in the stream right now, or unless I didn't see him commenting.
Also, it may not be.
It may not be commenting.
Yeah, and may not have himself under.
That's true. The username. That's right. But yeah, big shout out to Nathan Wenzel and Gare Randon too. He upped his pledge. He upped his pledge. Doubled it actually. So thank you very much as well, Gare, for always, you know, supporting the show, supporting us, man. We. Like I said, man, it's humbling to have all this support. We're just two guys that like to spit them facts, just like
Alan.
Yeah, Alan, I think.
Alan, yeah, he
Alan Day Jackman.
He kind of slid us $2.
Yep, keep spitting facts.
$2 spitting facts, and Aaron Barnett came through just now.
That's right. Yeah. I love hearing about new Patreons. We love hearing about it too, man. Like I said, it's humbling, man. This whole thing is humbling, man. Really, when you think about it, we really haven't been at this thing for very long. We're still kind of new to it.
New to it, man. We just novices, really.
That's right. I think we. Let me go down. Somebody just said, Will. Yeah, Gene said, Mike and Will, you guys are great. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for always being here, Gene, and watching. We really appreciate that, man. This is you know, we do want to, like I said, we do want to branch out. We do want to invite more people into the, into the audience, into the stream, into the chat fold and everything like that, get more callers. But, man, I'm really appreciative to the audience that we already have, you know. Like I said, we want to increase it. But the people that we already have in the fold right now, I couldn't be happier about.
And you know what, man? I mean, I've been a part of other live streams before. Not as like a host, but I tune into other live streams. And I do check out the comment section. And our comment section is probably one of like the best comment sections as far as like the different kind of conversations that go on as far as engagement that I'm kind of privy to as far as my own live stream watching habits. They get into more stuff, you know. A lot of it is not like a lot of live shows, you know, you've experienced this before where everything is just so like toxic and some of it's superficial.
Right.
Some of it's just very like
it's not constructive.
Rolling. Like,
it's not constructive
at all.
Yeah.
So like I really feel lucky that we have an audience that watches the show and engages in the chat and actually talks about relevant stuff. I mean, of course, there's some funny stuff going on, but for the most part, they're involved in the conversation based on what we're talking about, and they're involved in important conversations surrounding other topics. So I know the head's on straight, and like I just like the balance too. Like when we were talking about sexual suppression, I saw some nipple conversation going on, like free the nipples.
Exactly.
Like, somebody called it nibbles, and I was like, see, it's silly too. And I was like, oh man, that's the moment. These are the moments where I kind of want to like not be a host and get up in there.
Yeah, man, because there's a lot of comments that we can't. Man, we probably read maybe like 1% of them. Yeah, and it would be helpful if we did have somebody else that could be like, yeah, this, another person here, so that they can relay those comments to us. Especially if there's questions that we're missing while we're talking about subjects. Maybe they're something that we should be talking about at that time, but of course it just passes us by. So. This is all the process. But like you said, man, the conversation that goes on in the chat, man, is top notch, man. It's top notch, man. And we appreciate it, man. And we're just not kind of just trying to, oil you guys up or something, or just try to like boost you up. It's real, like you people that watch us are very knowledgeable, and you really do add stuff to it. Just like Court. The whole, like I said, the war on sex. That's something that, like you said, you thought about, but we weren't able to discuss it on the show because, like I said, we talk about other things and we miss some things. So I'm glad Court was able to, put that on the show for us to talk about in that way. So that's all I got, man. It's a long Thursday. It's after 10 o'clock now. Like I said, I'm glad that we were able to get to most of the stories that we had. We had two. The Stephon Clark. Yeah, there's like a little update on that.
And the 911 caller.
Yeah,
the person who called 911.
Exactly. So we'll get to those on Tuesday because
we tried to get to the ones that were probably more time sensitive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So,
yeah.
But there are things that weren't time sensitive, but are still important issues to address and to deal with that kind of ties into criminal justice, and you know what I'm saying. So,
there's another Betsy DeVos
story.
There's there's some stories out there. So I'm sure by the time Tuesday rolls around, there will be many. Oh, I thought you were like dropping news or something.
Oh no.
I thought that was a play. It's like I'm dropping
that
news.
Was
like,
total.
Carry this,
earpiece just jumped out.
But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about when Tuesday. As is always the case. We gotta pick what's most relevant and deliver the news to you. Report on what's being reported. Blah blah blah. Have some video clips. La 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 la. Whatever. But that's all we got, man. I'm ready to get out of here. NBA playoffs is starting soon.
Oh yeah, man.
Anybody into
that game
basketball?
That we talked about with Minnesota?
Oh yeah, man.
Denver.
Did you see that game?
Yeah, I saw
that was a good game. That was a good game.
We thought knew it was gonna be a good game.
That was
because it
was overtime.
It was win or go home.
Win or go home. Then it went to overtime. Man,
couldn't ask for a better game.
That was a good game. That was a really good game.
Never been so excited to see a battle for the 8th spot.
Yeah, for the 8th spot, the right to play Houston.
I've never been so hyped to see a game for the right to lose in the first round.
But yo, man,
team to have a right to lose in the first round.
Look, I'm just saying.
Butler's back.
You remember when Butler left, when he got hurt, they were the third seed in the West.
And they still.
So don't count them out against Houston.
Houston, I know.
Don't count. The Houston has been a beast this year. They've been the best team, but don't count out Minnesota.
And their two main leaders have been known to in the playoffs. There go Jeremiah with the 5 spot.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Appreciate
contributing to the show, man. Appreciate that a lot, man.
For real, man. That's a Zaxby's meal, dog. Appreciate that, Jeremiah.
$4.99.
Yeah, $4.99 is a Zaxby's meal, dog. Aaron Barnett too, man. Shoot.
That's what's up, man. All right, we're gonna get out of here. We hope each and every one of you have a very good weekend. You do something that you enjoy. You know, I'm sure you're gonna be paying attention to some news, some sports, maybe some movies. Go watch a good movie. I heard, well, not this weekend, but I think it's on the 27th. The new Avengers movie is gonna be coming out. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know if I go on that day because you know it's gonna be a crowd. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that. But yeah, man,
there's gonna be people in there cosplay.
Oh
outfits.
Yeah,
pretty much. Ben Shapiro won't say anything about people dressing up for Avengers. You know he won't.
You know, I don't think he's gonna have
people that it's not real.
I don't think he's gonna have a review like he had about Black Panther. No, he's not.
A lot of people were like mad that on some of the T-shirts that Black Panther is not on, like you know the T-shirt, the Avengers T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, man, if you actually watch the movie Black Panther, it honestly is. It's a different feel. It's not the same as like other Marvel movies.
No, it's not. It's totally different. It's totally different.
I can understand why they did that. I know a lot of people could probably gonna be like, "How you say that about?" But it was a different kind of superhero movie. It just was not the same.
It was completely different.
It's on a
you can't minimize that.
Yeah, you can't. It's on a different like kind of. I don't know, like it's a platform of its own. You know what I'm saying?
It is because there was the superhero element of it, but then it tackles some real stuff, man. And you don't really see that in superhero movies.
You kind of do, but not as
not
much.
Like that.
And it actually wasn't actually centered upon him, and you didn't
exactly.
You know, and again, yeah, it wasn't really centered.
It was centered upon.
And it wasn't. And
what was the Killmonger.
Killmonger and T'Challa.
Killmonger. Yes,
but T'Challa, it was like it was like everybody in Wakanda knew that he was both T'Challa and the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So like, you see what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's like knowing that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
The whole city didn't know that.
Superman.
It was just his own little secret. So that's why it wasn't the same. And so I understand why maybe Marvel is not necessarily putting in the same category as all those superhero movies.
But then the antagonist too, Killmonger. I don't know if you can point to maybe you can, I'm not sure, but it's not many movies that you can really identify with the antagonist.
No, you can. I think you can.
With the villain?
Well, I wouldn't say identify, but identify with why he became that way.
I don't think that's something that's just like common out there. Like the villain is usually like an evil dude.
Yeah, but there's always a backstory to why
there
he became
but
evil.
Do they really go into that?
Yeah, they usually do.
Usually?
Well, not so much in the movies, but in the comics they usually do.
Yeah, in the comics.
Usually when it comes to like a movie, they kind of like gloss over it a little bit. But for the most part, if you look at most of the so-called villains, then you know what I'm saying?
But the Joker, they don't go into his backstory.
They don't, but you kind of have to like kind of create his rationale based on like why he does what he does. I think, like I said, I've always said the Joker was the hero to me, and your boy Batman is actually a villain. Why, dog? What, yo? Why? What?
That is an extreme position, right there.
No, it's not, dog. Because Joker. Because think about this. The Joker essentially wants to he always wants to open people's eyes of the corruption of Gotham, right? He always wants to open up like people's eyes, and he does it by being very very extravagant, blowing up stuff. Like remember like even the authorities that are after him, they don't understand him because he's like setting money on fire, blowing things up because it's not about the money. He makes light of that. He doesn't care. He's trying to open people's eyes. Obviously in a movie, they have to make that look more entertaining, like people are getting killed and stuff, and he's evil. But for the most part, he wants to blow up the system. To whereas Batman, he wants to he's like that person that wants to save capitalism. So he's seen as the hero.
But that's kind of like saying like Bond villains are actually
it's not
the protagonist, because there was one Bond villain that I remember that was like, yeah, there's so many problems with the world. He wanted to set off a nuclear bomb so that it would be like a reset.
But I don't think. But see, again, those movies aren't in the same category, and they kind of have a different feel to it. Those are like spy movies, so there's always going to be some sort of.
But his reasoning was like the same as the Joker's.
His reasoning was the same, but the motive was different. Like the reason was the same, but the motive was different. Everything surrounded the Joker, like creating scenarios that showed that money was worthless. I think the overall message of the movie does kind of solidify the Joker as being, again, it's a movie, so they got to make it extravagant and make somebody do dumb looking things and blow stuff up to make it entertaining. But the underlying message to me is the Joker is just trying to open people's eyes. And the Batman's trying to keep
in a very violent way.
Yeah,
man,
but
killing Jokers,
what about Two-Face? See, that's another thing. What about Two-Face? Remember, he didn't want people to see Harvey Dent like that. Why? He was corrupt. He would rather let people think that he killed Harvey Dent than to show how corrupt Harvey Dent had become. Sorry, dog. Batman is whack.
Yo, I'm not taking up for Batman. I'm just saying that these villains, you can't say that these villains are actually heroes.
I didn't say that. Like, not in that world, but I'm just talking about like the underlying, like the overarching message.
You're identifying with, I guess, what they're trying to achieve, but the way they're going about it.
That's the problem. You're looking at it. You're looking at like what they're presenting to you in the story as being reality, when that's just kind of the template they're bringing you to kind of show you a different message. Like, that's just for entertainment purposes, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, that's just for entertainment. So you can't look at it and like, oh, look what they're doing. They're just doing all these bad things. That's just for your entertainment purposes, because you do have to create an antagonist and a protagonist to even make it watchable, and to have some sort of hero villain and, you know, good and bad element to it. That's just the formula. But that's just what they're presenting to you for entertainment purposes. So all that, you got to kind of look past all that, because there's no good and evil in regard to like the message behind like what they're actually trying to convey. You know what I'm saying? And what you got to look at them as symbols. That's the point. You have to look at them as symbols. If you look at them as symbols, then the story plays out like how I'm talking about. If you're just looking at them as characters, then you're looking at it like, oh, he did something evil. But that's just for entertainment. I'm just saying, that's entertainment.
Nah, you said Joker was a hero, though.
I know, he is. He's not a hero in the superficial sense when you're talking about the things he did, but when you look at what he's a symbol for, he is the hero. I'm talking about symbology as a symbol.
But can you separate his actions from what he's trying to achieve?
No, you can't separate the actions if you're looking at it from that standpoint. But these aren't this again. When you're talking about like the symbol as it's being played out in the story, that's what you're just looking at, that person as a symbol for something. So you can't really judge the actions in the same way that you would judge the actions like in the real world, or even the world that they created, because essentially we're transferring the morals from this world into the movie. So you can't do that. You can't use the same morals if you're talking about judging what these symbols represent. That's all I'm saying. So if Batman represents to me the trying to keep capitalism solvent, he ain't the damn hero. He's the damn villain. If he represents some rich guy going out of his way so that the people of Gotham don't see how really corrupt the city is and how their government and their officials are corrupt, he's trying to keep people blind, dog. So again,
well, I'll agree with that on when you talk about Black Panther, because I definitely identified more with Killmonger than I did with T'Challa.
Actually, that's the thing. But at least T'Challa evolved. T'Challa did evolve.
He did evolve at the end, but he was forced to.
He didn't know. Nah, but he didn't know the truth. It wasn't that he was just forced to. I think that, along with him not knowing the truth about Killmonger and what his father did and his uncle did, I think that was part of it too. I think if he knew that, he might have even gone after Killmonger and try to find him before it even got there.
But think about it like this though. Even if they did bring Killmonger to like they didn't leave him in the United States, right? They didn't leave him in the United States, they still wouldn't have been helping people. They still would have been set themselves. They still would have been isolated.
Yeah, no, but again, I think Killmonger was one of those integral parts of the movie that provided context to why, like, I think he was like that. I guess the conscience of Wakanda that was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? The conscience of Wakanda that got left behind. The conscience of Wakanda that probably needed to be more proactive, even if it was secretly. If you're going to do it secretly, that's fine.
Yeah,
that
that's no doubt. Yeah, but they weren't doing it secretly at all either.
Just the conscience of Wakanda. That's why.
But if there was no Killmonger, they would have never even gotten to that.
But that's why you don't look at the story for like what it superficially looks like, because as soon as something doesn't make sense, you know that person is a symbol for something. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't make sense to why his father as a king would leave him behind. That doesn't even seem like a noble thing to do. I don't even have the mind of a king. This dude was wiser than I guess as fictionally, he was wiser than anything I could ever become, probably. Right. So why would he just leave the dude behind? Why did he leave that little kid behind? That doesn't even make sense.
Well,
so
one would argue that it's because he didn't want nobody. Well, one, he didn't want anybody to know about what was going on there, what he was doing there, and two, how his brother died. He killed him.
But again, he could very well keep that a secret, because the only person who knew that, I guess, was what was T'Challa's dad's name? The only person that knew that was him and
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker. I was gonna go like this. Like, that's the only people that knew. So like, they could have kept that a secret. So when something doesn't make sense, you know that character represents something. So why they leave that behind? The whole movie surrounded why Wakanda was not helping people. So like, Killmonger's character, even as a little kid, that was automatically a symbol for something, like
no doubt.
Again, so they left him behind, so that served as a symbol for that kind of Wakandan way of thinking, like, we're just gonna not help anybody.
Yeah, I'm saying that's real though.
And kind of like that conscience comes back to Wakanda. It comes back in a very violent way, but it comes back. And then T'Challa realizes, like, yeah, that was the wrong way to go.
But see, T'Challa would have never realized that had there been no Killmonger.
Conscience. He was Killmonger was the conscience of Wakanda that was lost. That's why his father left him, because that conscience was lost.
Like I said, the movie played out very well, I thought, though, because it did have a point to prove. Yeah. And like you said, T'Challa evolved as a person, and his thinking about what Wakanda's what role in the world Wakanda was going to play. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was a good, man. But like I said, it was definitely unlike any other kind of superhero movie. So anyway, that's our movie review on.
I know we got a movie argument here. that was not planned.
That was not planned whatsoever. All right. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Yeah, like I said, that was some like off camera type stuff.
No, that's usually stuff that will happen like after we cut the feed.
No doubt. All right, everybody, enjoy their weekend, man. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye.